Chapter 717. Zhao Feng was surrounded by a layer of scarlet lightning as he looked at the Death Guard in front of him mockingly. The Emperor of Death had 4 Death Spirit Lords and 36 Death Guards. If it was 2 or 3 years ago, this would be a nightmare for Zhao Feng. Back then, Zhao Feng couldn't even run away from the Death Guard, who was ranked last. He had to pay a heavy price to barely win. And now, shock and fear appeared in the Death Guard's eyes as the latest information about his target appeared in his mind. Most likely, no one among the 36 Death Guards could fight back against this youth. His opponent's speed made him feel helpless. There are no reinforcements nearby. I won't be able to escape. This Death Guard had been through hundreds of battles and didn't lose his calm. Demonic Bat Wing Shadow. The Death Guard gritted his teeth, and his true yuan started to burn. His shadow-like figure started to expand and turn into a flaming bat. When it spread its wings, it was 10 yards wide like a demonic bat. The demonic bat's aura was brutal and bloodthirsty, and it released a sharp mental energy sound wave that reached the soul dimension. Zhao Feng's expression changed. This Death Guard had risked his life and reached the level of a king in a short amount of time. Furthermore, the demonic bat's speed was extremely fast. Even normal kings wouldn't be able to dodge it easily. Zhao Feng snickered coldly as he reached out with one hand. Wong boom. All of a sudden, a king's might appeared in the air and enveloped the bat demon wings. The latter's speed was instantly reduced. This was the difference between kings and those below the Void God realm. Bang, bang, bang. Immediately after, a huge crimson claw of light descended from the sky, surrounded by wind and lightning, and grabbed the demon wing bat. It can't resist at all. The Death Guard's heart shook, and his consciousness seemed to be locked in the air. He realized that Zhao Feng wasn't able to kill domain-level kings by luck. If I can't escape, then... A hint of madness appeared in the Death Guard's eyes as his soul, energy, and veritable essence energy burned and expanded like a balloon being inflated. You want to self-destruct? Zhao Feng chuckled as his left eye focused. The next moment, a powerful surge of eye intent locked the Death Guard's body and soul in the air. What? The Death Guard had completely lost control of his body. He could not even think or move. Apart from the Emperor of Death, he had never seen such powerful eye intent. Soul Search. A wicked soul fluctuation appeared from Zhao Feng's left eye and charged into the Death Guard's soul. With Zhao Feng's soul level and attainments in the Soul Dao, it was easy for him to use the soul-searching art. In fact, most Soul Dao techniques and mental energy techniques could be used even without an eye bloodline. However, with his eye bloodline, the power of the secret technique would be stronger, the speed of activation would be faster, and the consumption of mental energy would be the least. A breath or two later, with a wave of his hand, Zhao Feng unleashed the Scarlet Destruction Tempest and turned the Death Guard's body into ashes. The Death Guard's soul and physical body were destroyed at the same time. For example, although Zhao Feng defeated the Death Guard last time, due to the uniqueness of his death shadow body and the protection of the token of death, he wasn't truly killed. So that's how it is. Zhao Feng obtained some important information from the Death Guard through the soul-searching art. Among them was information on how to track down Zhao Feng. Since Zhao Feng's eye of death intent had been greatly worn down, the Death Guard's senses were extremely low. Adding on the fact that the 10,000 divine thoughts technique sealed off his aura, it was extremely difficult for the Death Guard and the Death Spirit Lord to sense him. This was especially true. Zhao Feng's soul absorbed the God Tribulation Lightning, which further destroyed the eye of death intent in his soul. Unless they were very close, the token of death wouldn't be able to sense Zhao Feng. The reason why the Pursuit of Death was able to find Zhao Feng was because of Emperor Mu Yun. Zhao Feng's void space eye/ contained a large amount of eye bloodline power and the aura of the Eye of Death. Emperor Mu Yun's body was touched by this aura and was discovered by the Yin-Yang Lord. The Emperor of Death used the gaze of death across several island zones and took away Emperor Mu Yun's soul. Zhao Feng was stunned. Using such a forbidden technique across several island zones would expend dozens or even hundreds of times more energy. Furthermore, the target was the soul of an emperor. Luckily, The Emperor of Death's eye bloodline power hasn't recovered yet. He's still recovering. Zhao Feng felt lucky. If Emperor Mu Yun was just a small fry, the Emperor of Death wouldn't have to pay a high price, even if he used the gaze of death from several realms away. He would still be able to chase after him in one go. Of course, normal pirates wouldn't be able to force Zhao Feng to use the void space I slash. Skylocking bow. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and scanned the limitless ocean as an ancient bow appeared in his hand. Wang, mysterious hollow inscriptions appeared on the body of the dark silver bow. The silver light shone brightly, forming a three-dimensional tadpole-like living pattern. Zhao Feng pulled on the golden bow, and his purple hair blew in the wind. Whoosh! A sharp and dazzling golden arrow appeared on the bowstring, dragging a layer of scarlet destruction wind lightning behind it as it flashed and disappeared. In that instant, a sharp aura pierced through the air and broke through the restrictions of space. At the same time, several thousand miles away, a Death Guard's body froze as he exclaimed. A sharp aura that could pierce through all things locked onto his soul. Even the space around him seemed to sink, as if it was sealed by a mysterious power. Whoosh! With a flash of silver, a golden arrow seemed to appear from a crack in space and pierce through his body. Ark! The Death Guard screamed as he was destroyed by the golden light and scarlet destruction wind lightning. The deaths of 2 Death Guards obviously alerted the other Death Guards, including the 3 Death Spirit Lords. On the sailboat of death, we've been discovered. The Yin-Yang Lord's voice was slightly solemn. According to the plan, they needed to keep an eye on Zhao Feng and wait for the Emperor of Death to come out of seclusion. That was the only way to ensure that nothing would go wrong. However, they were discovered by Zhao Feng as soon as they reached the edge of the 18 Corners Canyon. This was much faster than they had expected. All Death Guards, listen up. Surround the target of death. A voice that overlapped with yin and yang spread through the token of death to the limitless ocean tens of thousands of miles away. In just a few breaths' time, activate the encirclement plan. The other 2 Death Spirit Lords and the Death Guards all receive the news. Boom! Boom! 2 King Intents flew over from the limitless ocean. The ghost ship that was flying through the air seemed to be suppressed by a mountain, and its speed decreased dramatically as if it had fallen into a swamp. At the same time, shadowy figures of the Death Guards flew over from the nearby Void Sea and surrounded the ghost ship. Some of the higher-ranked Death Guard were close to kings in terms of speed and strength. Apart from that, in another direction, the auras of 3 Death Spirit Lords swept over like a storm of death. Zhao Feng's expression changed slightly as he messaged, "Little Kuan Yin, little thieving cat, skeletal division leader." If he was alone, Zhao Feng would definitely flee at all costs, not daring to continue fighting. No matter how strong he was, he wouldn't be arrogant enough to fight against 3 Death Spirit Lords, not to mention Wen Lan, who had the strength of a king, and the Death Guards whose strength was between half-step kings and kings. However, things were different now. Zhao Feng wasn't fighting alone. He had powerful servants and spiritual pets. Skeletal Division Leader, set up the array. The Death Guards also have their own arrays. Zhao Feng ordered. As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, a thick, gray cloud of ghost corpse flames enveloped an area of 10 li, within which appeared many sinister, blood-red eyes. What was different from before was that translucent red lightning chains could be vaguely seen in the ghost corpse formation. In the City of the Heavens legacy race, the ghost corpse cursed array had been perfected. Little thieving cat. Before Zhao Feng could say anything, the little thieving cat on his shoulder jumped out. Meow meow. In the sea of mist, only a silver-gray line could be seen. It flashed and disappeared. Zhao Feng knew that the little thieving cat had its own plans and was hiding. At this moment, the 3 Death Spirit Lords led more than 20 Death Guards and gave off an aura of death as they closed in. Within a radius of thousands of miles, the void ocean was completely silent. Zhao Feng and the ghost ship were surrounded. The 3 Death Spirit Lords and Wen Luan surrounded Zhao Feng from 4 different directions. Each king had at least 4 or 5 Death Guards behind them. Although the Black Hell King isn't here, it's enough to activate the Death Spirit Hell Array. The Phantom King, whose body was like a phantom, couldn't help but lick his lips. As soon as he finished speaking, a blood-colored flag appeared in the hands of the Yin-Yang Lord, the Witch King, the Dark Soul King, and Wenluan. The 4 flags stood in the air, and each of them burned with a gray flame. They gave off ghostly cries that made one's hair stand on end. Who? In an instant, the 4 flags flashed with a blood-colored light and grew to 100 yards tall, like 4 pillars that could reach the sky. Wang. Everything within dozens of miles was covered in a black and blood-colored light, and a gray flame could be faintly seen on the outside. Zhao Feng and company, as well as the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array, fell into a dark and bloodthirsty dimension. The Death Spirit Hell Array was more profound than the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array in some aspects, and it could form an independent spatial domain. The Death Spirit Hell Array has been completed. That brat won't be able to escape, even if he has wings. The Witch King, whose skin was ghastly pale, was surrounded by a layer of strange white flames. She was like a female ghost king, extremely creepy and creepy. The Yin-Yang Lord, Wenluan, and company all revealed expressions of joy. The Death Spirit Hell Array was a deathly array created by the Emperor of Death. It required 4 Death Spirit Lords to guard the 4 sides in order to unleash its full power. Apart from that, each side had a number of Death Guards to support them. At its peak, this array could even challenge emperors. Even though Wenluan had replaced one of the Death Spirit Lords, there were less than 36 Death Guards, and it only had 70% of its full power. Apart from emperors, even peak-tier kings wouldn't be able to escape from the Death Spirit Hell Array at 70% of its full power. Activate the Killing Array, the Yin-Yang Lord roared. The 3 Death Spirit Lords and Wenluan all used a special technique as they slammed their palms onto the flag. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Tens of thousands of blood-colored beams of light appeared in the black and blood-colored dimension, and they were like a rainstorm that sped back and forth. The blood-colored beams of light were extremely sharp, and each one could pierce through half-step void god realms and devour the essence of life forms. There were tens of thousands of these blood-colored threads of light, and they continuously pierced through. Even if it was a king, they would be riddled with holes and turned into a puddle of blood. All of this was restricted by the black and blood-colored dimension. A layer of gray flames condensed around the barrier that could even burn souls. Chapter 718. This is the Death Spirit Hell Formation. Zhao Feng and the child demigod felt their scalps go numb as they faced the tens of thousands of rays of blood-colored light. The important thing was the few of them fell into the purgatory space domain formed by the Grand Array, and even their souls found it hard to break through. Puff, puff, puff. The enormous ghost corpse flame cloud was riddled with holes by the thousands of blood-colored light beams. Some of the cursed ghost corpses were even injured. If there were dozens or hundreds of them, they wouldn't be a threat to the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array. As the blood-colored light pierced through the Ghost Corpse flame cloud, its power rapidly decreased. However, there were too many rays of blood-colored light. They were like millions of rays of light piercing through the air. Even normal kings wouldn't be able to last more than a few breaths in the purgatory dimension, and their Yuan soul wouldn't be able to break through the gray flames. Soon, the 100 corpse formation's flame clouds dimmed, and thousands of holes appeared in them. Skeletal Division Leader closed the array. Zhao Feng ordered. Whoosh! The Skeletal Division Leader waved the array flag, and the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array shrank from 10 miles wide to 1 mile wide. Fortunately, the 100 Corpses formation had been strengthened in Tianji City. Otherwise, the 100 Corpses Cursed formation would collapse in less than a dozen breaths. Swoosh! Swoosh! Kacha! Occasionally, a cursed ghost corpse would be pierced by the bloody light and fall apart. However, thanks to the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, it would quickly heal itself. The 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline's greatest specialty was its regenerative properties, followed by its defense. its offensive power didn't increase by much. Therefore, not only did the ghost corpse curse formation increase its power, but it also increased its survivability. When did that kid's ghost corpse formation become so powerful? The three Death Spirit Lords and the Death Guards were surprised. The Necromancy Purgatory formation was one of the strongest killing formations in the Myriad Forest spiritual region. Zhao Feng's Ghost Corpse Curse formation was able to withstand the storm of attacks for a short time inside the Death Spirit Purgatory formation. Don't worry, the Ghost Corpse formation will only last for the time it takes to brew a pot of tea, the Yin Yang King said. Even so, the three Death Spirit Lords were still astonished by the power of the Ghost Corpse formation. After all, the Great Ghost Corpse formation was controlled by a single person, and the Necromancy Purgatory formation was being maintained by such a huge formation. I'll let you have a taste of the true power of the Ghost Corpse formation. The Skeletal Division leader waved the array flag with a cold expression. Whoosh! In an instant, 100 pairs of blood-red, malevolent eyes shot out terrifying psychic power attacks from within the ghastly mist and flaming clouds. Outside the Death Spirit Purgatory formation, the Death Guard were so shocked that their consciousness almost collapsed. Fortunately, the gray flames surrounding the Purgatory formation had the power to isolate souls. Otherwise, none of the Death Guards would have been able to resist the pressure of the 100 corpses' blood eyes. Some of the Death Guards had pale faces and barely managed to stabilize their souls. A few of those who were ranked at the bottom were mentally injured. This was just the beginning. Then, the Ghost Corpse flame cloud changed again. A giant bloody white hand reached out of the void and grabbed toward the Death Spirit Lord and the Death Guards outside the Purgatory formation. BZZ. The gray flames outside the Purgatory formation started to tremble slightly. This giant vengeful spirit hand is formed from the resentment of countless demonic beasts and experts that have been devoured. The Skeletal Division leader snickered. Looking back at how many experts and beasts the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array had killed since it was created, there were many sovereigns and sovereign lords, and there were even some Void God Realm kings. Whoosh! A second blood-red hand reached out of the Ghost Corpse flame cloud. Then a third, then a fourth. The giant hand was formed from a unique curse, and the blood-colored light within the Purgatory formation didn't affect it much. Only the gray flames outside could expend some of its power. Arg! The screams of the Death Guards came from outside the Death Spirit Purgatory formation. Even if only half of the vengeful spirit hand's power seeped out, it would still be able to deal fatal damage to anyone below the Void God Realm. The expressions of Wen Luan and the Yin Yang Lord changed dramatically. Wen Luan's soul was only half a level away from the Void God Realm. The giant hand of vengeful spirits had pierced through the formation, bringing with it a portion of the power of the curse and resentment, causing his mind to feel cold and uneasy. Dark Soul King. The Yin Yang Lord suddenly spoke as he looked toward the ghost-like male on the other side. Child play. The Dark Soul King snickered coldly as he controlled the array flag with one hand, while a dark transparent light appeared on his other hand, which split into four and stabbed toward the giant hand. Whoosh! 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 The four hands of the vengeful spirits were pierced through by the mysterious dark, transparent threads of light, and then they were bound up layer by layer. Damn it! The Skeletal Division leader waved the array flag, but the four giant hands were unable to break free from the Dark Soul King's technique. The Dark Soul King's body was extremely unique. It was a ghost-like body. His attacks were also intangible, which countered the power of the curse to a certain extent. It's my turn. The sinister female voice came from the ghastly pale Witch King. She opened her pale and slender palm. Woo! A black hole appeared in the center of the pale white hand. What happened next caused everyone's hairs to stand on end. Dense green insects flew out of the pitch-black hole and rushed into the purgatory domain like a tide. The blood-colored light in the purgatory dimension created a path for the green insects to enter. In an instant, a river of insects appeared in the purgatory dimension and charged toward the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array. Whoosh! Whoosh! A large hole appeared in the surface of the ghost corpse cursed array, and large patches of insect corpses turned into a pool of blood. Not good. These insects. The skeletal division leader cried out in fear. There were simply too many of them, and they started to eat the cursed ghost corpses after entering the array. Some even charged toward Zhao Feng and the child demigod. Destroy. The child demigod extended his hand and crushed some of the insects with a golden fist. With the flick of a finger, Zhao Feng's scarlet destruction, wind lightning, also annihilated hundreds of insects. However, the two found that these insects were impenetrable, and they were immune to both physical and soul attacks. And this was only the two of them, so their attacks were extremely unique. Normal origin core realm sovereign lords or half-step kings wouldn't even be able to kill 10 insects with one punch. Zhao Feng and the child demigod might be able to deal with the insects, but the skeletal division leader and the cursed ghost corpses would find it hard to deal with them. Fortunately, the corpse aura and resentment of the 100 corpses formation were effective against these flying insects. If it wasn't for that, the situation would be terrible. Little Kuan Yun blocked that hole. Skeletal division leader used the teleportation array to get close to Wenluan. Zhao Feng ordered. Little Kuan Yun shouted and struck out with a golden fist that was like a long river. It was like the light of destruction, annihilating a large number of flying insects. Shua, the golden skin of a 3-year-old blocked the hole and dealt with the sea of insects. 10,000 couldn't get through. Ding, ding. Some of the green insects bit the child demigod and created sparks, but they were all turned into dust by the power of the golden Kuan's sacred body. This little toddler is so powerful. The 3 Dark Soul Lords looked at each other with surprise. They only knew a bit about this child recently, and there wasn't much information about him. Hu Shua. The skeletal division leader waved the array flag and controlled the ghost corpse cursed array toward Wenluan. Of the 4 kings, Wenluan's strength is the weakest. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled. His intentions were extremely clear. There were 4 cores in the Death Spirit Hell formation, which are the 4 kings. As long as they killed Wenluan, the array's power would decrease by at least a quarter, and a flaw would appear. After all, the other 3 kings were all domain-level kings. The Yin-Yang Lord was a peak-tier king, but he hadn't done anything yet. Just the Dark Soul Lord and the Witch King alone put a lot of pressure on Zhao Feng and company. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the ghost corpse cursed array pushed forward, the blood-colored beams of light continued to pierce through it. The speed at which they advanced was extremely slow. Master, if we can't break through the Death Spirit Hell array within the time it takes to make tea, the ghost corpse cursed array will collapse, and we'll have to face the limitless power of purgatory. The child demigod also paid attention to the situation as he blocked the river of insects. Zhao Feng, don't struggle. The Yin-Yang Lord's voice shook everything within several hundred miles. At the same time, the figures of the 4 kings controlling the array flag spun rapidly, and a blood-colored whirlpool suddenly appeared in the dimension of purgatory. The whirlpool created a strong suction force. The 4 kings were already spinning, and they made the ghost corpse cursed array lose its target and direction. It was extremely difficult to capture Wenluan. Apart from that, the blood-colored beams of light created a lot of resistance. At this moment, there was a giant whirlpool in the center of the Death Spirit Hell array. The blood-colored whirlpool contained a dominating and bloodthirsty power that could crush and devour normal Void God Realm kings. At this moment, Zhao Feng and company couldn't advance or retreat. It was extremely awkward whether they should advance or retreat. Right at this moment, the strongest, the Yin-Yang Lord, suddenly attacked. Yin-Yang Sky Seal. The Yin-Yang Lord's body started to flicker. Half was white, and the other half was black. The instant he raised his hand, there was a feeling that Yin and Yang had flipped over. A black and white seal of Yin and Yang appeared in the air above the blood-colored purgatory. The sky seemed to turn into a giant Yin-Yang hand. This intent was extremely domineering, and its control over heaven and earth was close to that of an emperor. Boom! The black and white seal of Yin and Yang descended from the sky and landed heavily on the ghost corpse cursed array. More accurately speaking, it was aimed at the gap in the child demigod's body. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the ghost corpse formation collapsed in half, and many of the cursed ghost corpses shattered into pieces. Wah! The child demigod flew back and spat out a mouthful of blood. This guy's even stronger than the giant Shark King. The Yin-Yang Lord's battle power was extremely close to that of an emperor. He was the embodiment of invincibility against those below emperors. That attack had sent the child demigod, Zhao Feng, and the ghost corpse cursed array flying. As expected of the Yin-Yang Lord, he's managed to stall emperors several times in the past. The Dark Soul King and Witch King both had respectful expressions. Let's end this. The Yin-Yang Lord's expression was cold as he pushed the seal of Yin and Yang toward the ghost corpse cursed array. Not good. The skeletal division leader roared. The entire ghost corpse cursed array, including Zhao Feng and the child demigod, was pushed toward the center of the array, the whirlpool. Chapter 719. The blood-colored whirlpool was the center of the Death Spirit Hell array, and its power could devour and refine void God Realm kings. Boom! The Yin-Yang hand pushed the entire ghost corpse cursed array, including Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader. At the same time, a strong pulling force came from the whirlpool. Once we enter the whirlpool, the ghost corpse cursed array will be destroyed. Zhao Feng's heart shook. As long as the ghost corpse cursed array was destroyed, Zhao Feng and the child demigod would be able to withstand the attacks of the Death Spirit Lords without anything to protect them. This was a moment of life and death. Little Kuan Yun. Zhao Feng roared as a pair of wind lightning wings appeared on his back. Understood. Kuan Yun and Zhao Feng were connected by the Dark Heart Seed, so communication was extremely simple. Sky-destroying Golden Fist. The child demigod's demigod intent and fist intent merged together. The void where the purgatory formation was located had a faint feeling of shaking. With the naked eye, a magnificent golden fist light turned into a sharp, domineering light beam and fiercely hit the yin-yang sky curtain where the giant handprint was located. Boom! A huge hole appeared on the yin-yang giant palm seal, and the distorted black and white sky suddenly trembled. This brat's fist intent seems to be even stronger than normal emperors. The Yin-Yang Lord was slightly surprised. Of course, the difference in cultivation was too big. The Yin-Yang Lord's battle power was unparalleled against anyone below the emperor level. And although the child demigod's fist intent was profound, it wasn't able to break through the Yin-Yang Lord's secret technique. The Yin-Yang giant palm imprint that had merged with the sky was barely contained, and most of its power was blocked. Bam! The child demigod was pushed back dozens of yards and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. The Yin-Yang Lord's strength and soul were extremely close to an emperor's. In a one-on-one fight, even if Zhao Feng used his eye bloodline, his chances of winning were very low. Master, not good. The skeletal division leader exclaimed. The ghost corpse cursed array was still being pulled toward the whirlpool. After all, the child demigod couldn't block all of the Yin-Yang Lord's attacks. At this moment of life and death, Thunderwing's wind flash. A streak of crimson lightning quickly reached the center of the blood-colored vortex. Ice Emperor's seal. An icy blue spear appeared in Zhao Feng's palm. Like ice water, it turned into a huge ice mountain that glittered with icy brilliance. Boom! The outline of an ice crystal seal could be vaguely seen amidst the glittering ice, and it fell right on top of the bloody whirlpool. The entire Death Spirit Purgatory formation shook slightly. Buzz! The huge ice mountain was surrounded by ice crystal seals. When it crashed into the blood-colored vortex, it was devoured by a powerful force. The power of ice and the power of devouring clashed with each other. However, the Icebound Mountain seal was clearly at a disadvantage, and its aura was weakening. Seal. Zhao Feng's eyes were cold. His skin was covered in a layer of beautiful blue scales. A surge of extreme mystic ice power that originated from the ancient times merged into the ice-sealing mountain seal. In an instant, The frozen mountain with the ice imperial spear as its core seemed to have the tendency to solidify, and the power of the frozen mountain increased by twofold in a short period of time. With Zhao Feng as the center, everything in a radius of several miles turned to ice. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The blood-colored beams slowed down when they neared Zhao Feng, and a layer of frost appeared on their surface. Their power decreased by 50 to 60% when they hit him. Ding, ding, ding. The blue scales on Zhao Feng's body were like the scales of an ancient ice dragon, and their defense was extremely strong. See, the blood-colored whirlpool under the icebound mountain seal started to solidify, and it almost stopped spinning. So close. The skeletal division leader stabilized the ghost corpse cursed array. The ghost corpse cursed array was only a couple dozen yards away from the whirlpool. Luckily, the whirlpool had been frozen for a short period of time, and the suction force had almost disappeared. That bloodline aura! The expressions of the kings controlling the array, especially Wen Luan, changed dramatically. Wen Luan's Heaven Sun battle race bloodline started to tremble uneasily. 10,000 ancient races, the bloodline of the mystic ice scaled race. How can he have it? The expressions of the three death spirit lords and Wen Luan changed. The cold, profound ice bloodline that originated from the ancient era caused the death spirit lords and the death guards present to feel a hint of pressure from their bloodlines. After merging with the strengthened ice imperial spear, Zhao Feng used his mystic ice scaled race bloodline to freeze the whirlpool at the center of the Hell array. The power of the necromancy purgatory formation had also decreased. Attack! Zhao Feng roared as his faint purple hair blew in the wind. As soon as he said that, the child demigod and the skeletal division leader started to counterattack. The power of the Hell array was so great that Zhao Feng could only suppress the whirlpool for a few breaths, and that expended a lot of his bloodline power. Oomph. The Yin-Yang Lord snickered coldly as the outline of a five-fingered mountain appeared in the sky and smashed toward the child demigod and the ghost corpse cursed array. The Dark Soul King and the Witch King didn't just stand there and use their secret techniques to suppress the whirlpool. The child demigod and the skeletal division leader were on the verge of collapse. Ding, ding, ding. Zhao Feng stood on the mountain and faced the attacks of the blood-colored light and the green insects. Lightning wings wind flash. Zhao Feng disappeared from the mountain and dodged the attack range of the yin-yang sky screen. It was obvious that he had given up on freezing the whirlpool. Shwa! As he flew, a powerful surge of eye intense surged through his left eye. Zhao Feng's left eye was a misty purple that seemed to hide a dreamy purple world. Watch out! That's Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique. Wen Luan exclaimed as his heart tensed up. Limitless maze. Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto the strongest Yin-Yang Lord. It was this peak-tier king that had suppressed them. The Yin-Yang Lord's heart shook as he was attracted by Zhao Feng's purple left eye. The environment around him suddenly started to change. Everything in his field of vision was shrouded in a misty maze. The Yin-Yang Lord snickered coldly as he focused his intent, and the scenery in front of him melted like snow. Both his intent and his soul were close to the level of an emperor, as expected of the leader of the four death spirit lords. Furthermore, the gray flames on the outer layer of the purgatory array have the ability to block the soul. My eye bloodline technique has been weakened by 30 to 40%. Zhao Feng wasn't surprised. What he did just now was just a probing attack. His goal was to see how strong the purgatory array was against eye bloodline techniques. 60% is enough. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. At this moment, the Yin-Yang Lord easily broke through the limitless maze, and a cold smile appeared on his face. However, he soon felt that something was wrong. Zhao Feng's expression didn't change at all, and he even seemed to be smiling. Don't! Watch out! The Yin-Yang Lord exclaimed as he finally thought of something. His cultivation was the highest amongst everyone present, and he could block Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique. However, that didn't mean the others could. Mental energy spike. A cold purple mental energy spike shot out from Zhao Feng's left eye and pierced through the gray flames on the outer layer of the purgatory array. Wang, the gray flames weakened the mental energy spike by 30 to 40%. Whoosh! The remaining 60% of the mental energy spike pierced through Wen Luan, who was controlling the array. Ark! Wen Luan screamed. The pain in his soul was 100 times stronger than the pain in his physical body. Even the remaining 60% of the mental energy spike almost pierced through his soul and almost made him faint. Wen Luan's soul intent was only close to that of a king. On the other hand, the mental energy spike was the most basic soul attack, and it was decided by the strength of the soul. The bigger the difference between the two, the more damage they would receive. The difference between Zhao Feng and Wen Luan was huge. Even though the mental energy spike was weakened 30 to 40% by the purgatory array, it still had an overwhelming advantage. This mental energy spike heavily injured Wen Luan's mind, causing a fatal injury. Brat dot! The Yin-Yang Lord roared, and his peak-tier king intent charged toward Zhao Feng to stop the next wave of attacks. At the same time, the Witch King and the Dark Soul King also increased their attacks on Zhao Feng. Hee. Zhao Feng laughed lightly as he flapped his wings and entered the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array, splitting the attacks with the Child Demigod and the Ghost Corpse Cursed Array. Luan, how are your injuries? The Witch King looked at Wen Luan with concern. Wen Luan's soul was being attacked, and he almost lost control of the flag. The power of the Purgatory Array started to decrease. Right at this moment, Shua, a dark silver, illusory line flashed past, accompanied by a chilling blade of shadow. Watch out! The Witch King's heart jumped. However, her warning was too late. Shua, a peculiar dagger that was as cold as a shadow, pierced through Wen Luan's heart. Woo! Wen Luan tried to struggle, but his body went numb, and he fell into the limitless ocean. Meow meow! The little thieving cat waved the shadow kill imperial dagger, and a wave of cold blades pierced through several death guards near Wen Luan. Arg! The death guards nearby were pierced by the shadow blades, and their bodies stiffened as their life force was instantly erased. Luan, your highness, leave that cat behind. The three Death Spirit Lords and the Death Guards exclaimed in shock. Now that the Death Spirit Purgatory formation had lost its core, its power had decreased sharply, and some flaws had appeared. Meow meow! The little thieving cat turned into a silver-gray streak and disappeared into the air. Little thieving cat, good job. The pressure on Zhao Feng's Ghost Corpse Cursed Array decreased. Zhao Feng could tell that Wen Luan was the weakness of the array when the Death Spirit Hell Array was first set up. Wen Luan was the weakest of the 4 Death Spirit Hell Array. Zhao Feng first attacked the Yin-Yang Lord as a distraction. If the little thieving cat attacked the Yin-Yang Lord, the chances of success would be extremely low, and it might even be life-threatening. Zhao Feng's target was Wen Luan, who was relatively weaker. Now, he had successfully opened up a gap. Before the 3 Death Spirit Lords could react, the next round of attacks had already begun. Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame. A surge of eye bloodline flames appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. A half-transparent scarlet eye bloodline flame radiated an aura of destruction, and the core of it contained a wisp of God Tribulation lightning. Boom! The ball of scarlet flames struck the Witch King like a scarlet flaming storm. Arg! The Witch King's pale white body was covered by the half-transparent scarlet destruction eye flame, and the aura of destruction and God Tribulation started to spread. Even though she was prepared, she still panicked from the berserk attack. Wang, the Witch King's body was surrounded by a layer of strange white flames that intertwined with the exploding scarlet destruction eye flame. However, her ghost Dao flames were countered by the scarlet destruction eye flame, which contained the laws of God Tribulation, lightning, and destruction, and started to smoke before quickly dimming. Chapter 720. The Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame burned on the Witch King's body for 2 to 3 breaths before it was extinguished. Scorch marks were left on the Witch King's pale white body. These marks were hard to heal, and there was an aura that couldn't be erased. This terrifying aura wasn't just the aura of destruction contained within the scarlet destruction wind lightning. There was also a wisp of God tribulation lightning. This was because Zhao Feng's soul had absorbed some wisps of God tribulation lightning and merged some of its intent into the scarlet destruction wind lightning. His scarlet destruction eye flame was the most destructive eye bloodline technique, and it could pierce through both the physical and the soul dimensions. The damage it could cause was immeasurable. Unfortunately, the Death Spirit Hell Array. Zhao Feng was slightly regretful. His scarlet destruction eye flame had been weakened by 20 to 30%, and this was because he had lost one on. Otherwise, his scarlet destruction eye flame would have been able to severely injure the Witch King and even kill normal kings. However, the Witch King was also a domain-level king and couldn't be underestimated. This Zhao Feng's eye bloodline has locked onto my soul. Even my spatial defense has been greatly reduced. The Witch King's body and soul were still experiencing waves of burning pain. The injuries from the destruction and God tribulation lightning contained an immortal and undying aura that stopped her body from regenerating. Witch King, watch out! The Yin-Yang Lord roared as his peak-tier king intent crushed toward Zhao Feng. He was worried that Zhao Feng would use another powerful eye bloodline technique. According to the information he had, Zhao Feng had an even more monstrous eye bloodline technique. At the same time, above his head, in the black and white curtain of yin and yang, the giant hand of light pressed down once again. Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader all unleashed their attacks at the Yin-Yang Lord. The skeletal division leader controlled several giant hands of hatred to corrode the outside of the array. Zhao Feng and the child demigod were the main attackers. Boom! The child demigod circulated his demigod intent and clashed with the Yin-Yang Lord's peak-tier king intent. In terms of intent, the child demigod's intent had the advantage. However, in terms of quantity, his soul foundation was somewhat lacking. Mine too. Zhao Feng laughed loudly as his purple hair danced in the wind, and a terrifying soul eye bloodline power surged from his left eye. Boom! The soul dimension shook, and a giant purple eye appeared in the air, creating a will attack that looked down on all things. The eye intent appeared in an unbelievable form. Rumble! The eye intent contained the aura of God tribulation lightning, and it boomed with thunder. Puffed! A loud explosion resounded in the soul void. Outside the purgatory array, the Yin-Yang Lord, who was as strong as a peak-tier king, groaned. Well, manifestation? How is this possible? The Yin-Yang Lord was filled with disbelief and shock. If it weren't for the fact that his soul intent surpassed normal peak-tier kings, his soul would have been injured by Zhao Feng and the child demigod. If it was a normal king, there would have been severely injured and would have been in danger of collapse. Heaven's sealing palm. The child demigod followed up and thrust out a few palms. In that instant, the air nearby seemed to become muddy, and it was as if time had slowed down. Heaven sealing 18 palms. Boom, boom, boom. Numerous profound and grand golden palms of light twisted and sank into heaven and earth, forming layers of seals on the black and white light screen above their heads. My Yin-Yang Sky Seal. The Yin-Yang Lord felt that the connection between him and the supreme secret skill that had merged with the sky screen was being cut off. His follow-up power was inexplicably restricted. Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning. The wings on Zhao Feng's back fluttered as he summoned a storm of scarlet lightning, and a blazing scarlet fist smashed into the Yin-Yang sky screen. Boom! Crack! A hole was created in the black and white screen. Lightning wings wind flash. Zhao Feng was like a bolt of lightning in the dark blood-colored purgatory dimension. Whoosh! Whoosh! The lightning wings flashed and instantly arrived at the location of the array flag that the Witch King was presiding over. Watch out! The Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul King exclaimed at the same time. Take my fist! The Scarlet Destruction lightning wings fluttered at high speed and summoned a storm of scarlet lightning that covered several miles. The blood-colored beams of light in the purgatory dimension would start to dissipate as soon as they got close to the storm of scarlet lightning. Don't even think about it. The Witch King calmed herself down. She had only just recovered from the attack of the Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame. She didn't panic because there was still the barrier of the Purgatory Array in front of her. This meant that apart from her own defense, there was another barrier. Ghost Destruction Barrier. The Witch King crossed her pale white hands together, and screams sounded from her body as a strong power of the ghost Tao condensed into a layer of air around her body. This layer of air was as dark as a black hole, and there was a layer of white flames burning on it. Right at this moment, Zhao Feng's attack arrived. Crack! An extremely condensed scarlet annihilation fist energy twisted like an aurora, summoning a vast scarlet lightning storm and bombarding the Witch King. This was definitely Zhao Feng's strongest punch after reaching the late stages of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning. This punch was the pinnacle of speed. There was also the terrifying bloodline and body of the 10,000 ancient races. Kacha! A giant hole instantly appeared in the barrier of the Purgatory Array and the gray flames. The barrier of the Purgatory Array started to shake. Pung! The Witch King's body shook, and her bloodline and mind felt like they couldn't breathe. The dark ghost fiend shield around her body quickly dimmed, and the white flames peeled off layer by layer. What a powerful attack! The expressions of the 3 Death Spirit Lords changed. Apart from the Yin-Yang Lord, none of the other Death Spirit Lords were Zhao Feng's match in a one-on-one fight. Take another punch from me. Zhao Feng roared with laughter as his left eye started to spin, and a powerful surge of eye intent shot toward the Witch King. His entire body was covered in a layer of beautiful, icy blue scales. The extreme power of profound ice froze everything within a radius of 10 miles. The bloodline power of the 10,000 ancient races froze the area around the barrier and stopped the Purgatory Array from healing. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Witch King felt a chill in her body. The ghost malice shield around her, and the withering flames started to emit cold water vapor. Save the Witch King. The Dark Soul King's expression changed as he spread his hand. Wang, a ghostly hand more than 100 yards long, screeched toward Zhao Feng in the soul dimension. This Dark Soul hand was extremely unique. It was 70% a soul attack and 30% a physical attack. The 70% soul attack would create all sorts of mental energy effects, including fear, confusion, and confusion. A normal king would have to guard their mind, or else their consciousness would become chaotic. However, Zhao Feng didn't dodge the Dark Soul hand. Crack! When the ghostly hand landed on Zhao Feng's body, the blue scales on his body started to shine with a cold light that chilled one to the bone. See? A layer of frost started to form on the Dark Soul hand, and it started to crack. As for the 70% soul attack and special effects, they didn't affect Zhao Feng at all. Zhao Feng's God Spiritual, I was almost unstoppable against soul attacks. He had never suffered in this aspect before. Although the Dark Soul King had a unique body and soul talent, there was still a gap between him and Zhao Feng in terms of the soul. Ha ha ha! Zhao Feng roared after blocking the attack, and a cold light, condensed in his palm, shot out like a blue lotus toward the Witch King. The cold light contained the bloodline power of the mystic ice-scaled race, which was ranked 89th among the 10,000 ancient races. Just the power of his physical body alone was enough to send ordinary kings flying. No! Fear started to spread in the Witch King's eyes. Her mind had been slightly injured by the attack from the Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame earlier. The Scarlet Destruction, Wind Lightning, and Eye Intent made it hard for her to breathe. Stop! The Yin-Yang Lord's voice reverberated through the air. Yin-Yang Sky, Slashing Sword. A giant sword of black and white light, several hundred yards long, flashed through the air and slashed toward Zhao Feng. Golden Emperor's Fist. The child demigod snickered coldly as his golden fist blocked the giant sword of Yin-Yang Light. Bam! The black and white sword of Yin-Yang Light spun in the air and blocked the child demigod's attack. Its light dimmed a little as it charged toward Zhao Feng without slowing down. At the same time, Peng, Zhao Feng's attack landed on the Witch King with his body and bloodline power of coldness. This attack also contained Zhao Feng's illusion maze domain, which made it hard for the Witch King to dodge. In an instant, the sky was filled with icy light, engulfing a part of the void. The icy light exploded like thousands of flowers blooming. It was beautiful and spectacular, but also extremely dangerous. Boom! See, everything within a radius of 100 miles was engulfed by the vast, profound ice storm. Bam! The Witch King's body was sent flying by the punch, and blood leaked out of her mouth, but it immediately froze. The power of coldness almost froze her bloodline, and the ghost protective barrier around her turned into a layer of ice that started to fall off. She shrunk the protective domain space around her body and was sealed in ice. Brat die. The Yin-Yang Lord's giant sword of Yin-Yang landed on Zhao Feng's back. Although the power of the giant sword of Yin-Yang Light had been weakened by the child demigod, it was still extremely powerful and could severely injure domain-level kings. Ice Imperial Spear. Zhao Feng didn't dodge. A layer of ice-blue liquid flowed around his body and formed a dark blue ice armor, adding another layer of defense to his mystic ice-scaled race bloodline. In the Heaven's Legacy Race City, Zhao Feng's Ice Imperial Spear could turn into ice armor and other forms after being strengthened. Dang! The Yin-Yang Light, sword of Yin-Yang Light, slashed onto Zhao Feng's body, and a crack appeared on the ice armor. Zhao Feng's body shook, but he was completely fine. There was a layer of blue scales within the ice armor that seemed to be the scales of an ice dragon, but they were extremely exquisite. A tiny bloodstain appeared on the blue scales, but quickly healed. One had to admit that the Yin-Yang Lord's attack wasn't just strong. After being weakened by the child demigod's punch, it landed on Zhao Feng's body and even broke through the ice armor of the Ice Imperial Spear. However, the Yin-Yang Lord, the Dark Soul Lord, and the Death Guards were all dazed. Zhao Feng's monstrous defense shocked both sides. After sending the Witch King flying with one punch, Zhao Feng was able to take more than half of the Yin-Yang Lord's attack head-on, but he was still completely fine. At this moment in time, the Witch King was injured by Zhao Feng's punch, and a layer of ice covered her body, slowing her down. Right at this moment, meow meow, a silver-gray line flashed behind the Witch King. Chapter 721. It's that thieving cat. Watch out. The Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul Lord noticed the faint omen behind the Witch King. However, they had just attacked and couldn't stop in time. The Witch King was injured, and a layer of frost covered her body, slowing her down. Shua! The silver-gray line flashed and disappeared. Shua! A mysterious dagger that was as dark as a shadow pierced through the Witch King's head with a chilling blade. Arg! The Witch King's body froze, and she let out a scream. Blood flowed down her forehead, eyes, and face. She was like a female ghost that had died a horrible death. The Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger's attack had critically injured her, and her life force had been destroyed. However, being a Void God Realm King, her soul intent was strong, and she didn't fall immediately. Where do you think you're going? The Witch King gave a cruel smile as her body turned into a ball of withered ghost flames that turned into a flaming ghost king several yards tall. Who? The terrifying withered ghost flames spread in every direction. Meow! The little thieving cat disappeared after one attack. It was extremely sensitive to danger, and it left the Witch King's attack range before she could counterattack. Witch King! The Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul Lord revealed unsightly expressions. In this state, the Witch King was burning her life force and soul as the price. Furthermore, she had been critically injured before she turned into a flaming ghost king. Once she returned to her normal state, she would most likely die. None of the Emperor of Death subordinates are normal. Zhao Feng's expression became solemn. At this point, he was just a bit away from killing the Witch King. The Emperor of Death subordinates, the Death Spirit Lords, and the Death Guards were all stronger than others of the same cultivation. Right at this moment, the Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul Lord both attacked Zhao Feng at the same time. Zhao Feng wasn't scared of the Dark Soul Lord's attacks, but the Yin-Yang Lord's battle power was close to an Emperor's. However, the attacks of the two Death Spirit Lords missed. Zhao Feng's figure disappeared. Lightning wings flying technique. With the naked eye, all that could be seen was the blurry light of lightning wings flapping at high speed, breaking through the shackles of space itself. With a flash, it disappeared from where it stood. In the next moment, a pair of scarlet destruction lightning wings that were over 200 feet in length appeared beside the female void flame, Ghost Monarch. Poochie. Wind thunder wings slash. The scarlet destruction lightning wings condensed to the limit, and with a destructive aura, it slashed at the spectral Ghost Monarch's head. It was subtle. The wind lightning wings landed right where the little thieving cat had stabbed the Witch King. Moreover, the Witch King's phantom ghost queen had just been formed and hadn't stabilized yet. Ah! A mournful scream of despair shook the soul plane. Lightning wings flight technique. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I detected the change in the Witch King's power and disappeared once more. Boom! The Witch King's illusory flame form instantly exploded, turning into millions of withered and blood-stained flames that dissipated into the wind. Swoosh! The lightning wings on Zhao Feng's back fluttered, and he flew 1,000 feet away, barely dodging the core's powerful punch. Even so, the blue scale-patterned skin on his body still gave him a cold, piercing pain. Witch King. The Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul King roared in shock as they watched the Witch King self-destruct and die. Zhao Feng's attack was as fast as lightning. It was fine if he didn't attack, but once he did, it was like a bolt of lightning. This was the Wind Lightning Emperor style. With his unrivaled speed, his opponents wouldn't be able to block him at all. This was the Wind Lightning Inheritance's pursuit of speed and offense. Meow meow. At this moment, the little thieving cat appeared on Zhao Feng's shoulder and rubbed its head against Zhao Feng's cheek. The human and cat stood outside of the Death Spirit Hell Array. Zhao Feng had just flown out of that large hole in the ice. At this moment in time, the Death Spirit Hell Array had lost 2 core members, and its power had decreased by more than half. It was full of flaws and wasn't far from collapsing. Now's the time. The child demigod led the way and led the Ghost Corpse cursed array toward the frozen hole. The hearts of the Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul Lord dropped. Zhao Feng's side had successfully destroyed the Ghost Corpse cursed array from the inside and outside. The little thieving cat had played a key role in this. This was because attacking the outside of the array was much weaker when one was within the Death Spirit Hell Array. This was also why it took Zhao Feng so much effort to kill the Witch King. Lightning wings wind flash. Zhao Feng's wings fluttered, but he didn't return to the array. Arg! Screams came from the Death Guards outside the Death Spirit Purgatory formation. Every time the wings of wind and lightning flashed, at least 1 or 2 Death Guards would die. Meow meow. The little thieving cat played with the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger. Every time it waved it, the cold wind would pierce through the air. Even if it was just an illusion, it could still kill it. Wang, the Death Spirit Purgatory formation, shook slightly, becoming increasingly unstable. Many cracks appeared on it. After all, these Death Guards were also supporting parts of the Death Spirit Hell Array. The Death Spirit Hell Array had already lost 2 core members, and adding on the deaths of the supporting Death Guards, it became more and more unstable. Seeing the death of the Death Guards, the Yin-Yang Lord and the Dark Soul Lord roared in anger. Yin-Yang Sky Seal. The Yin-Yang Lord decided to give up on the Death Spirit Hell Array. Half of his body was white, while the other half was black. Boom! The Yin-Yang Lord raised his hand, and everything within several hundred miles was filled with a black and white seal of Yin-Yang. Heaven and earth seemed to be changed at this moment. Zhao Feng's body suddenly froze, and his expression changed dramatically as if he had fallen into mud. This time, the Yin-Yang Lord's Yin-Yang Sky Seal was even stronger since he didn't need to control the array. Die! The Yin-Yang Lords waved their hands, and a massive hand of black and white light appeared in the Yin-Yang heavenly screen, giving off a domineering aura. The nearby heaven and earth was under his control. The Yin-Yang Seal hand merged into the sky, and its attack range was extremely large as it slammed toward Zhao Feng. Even if Zhao Feng used the lightning wings flying technique, he wouldn't be able to escape, and he would be restricted. This was because the yin-yang lord's comprehension of heaven and earth was extremely close to that of an emperor. Zhao Feng could only take it head-on. A blue armor of ice appeared on his body, and he circulated the bloodline of the mystic ice-scaled race to the maximum. Lightning wings covering the sky. The scarlet-colored wings behind Zhao Feng's back suddenly expanded to a 100-yard-long wing, reaching an unprecedented size. With him as the center, the giant wings of wind and thunder flapped violently. Everything within a radius of dozens of miles was engulfed in a destructive scarlet thunderstorm, like a burning thunder flame storm. Through the 100-yard-long wings of wind lightning, Zhao Feng's control of wind lightning increased dramatically. Ta! Zhao Feng roared, and his 10,000 ancient races' bloodline and body condensed a scarlet destruction fist that slammed into the yin-yang lord. This attack squeezed out all of Zhao Feng's bloodline and true yuan. In that instant, the true yuan and bloodline power within Zhao Feng's body surged, and his aura skyrocketed. The scarlet destruction true yuan was condensed, compressed, and boiled to the extreme. Boom! Zhao Feng's body shook, and his scarlet destruction true yuan became even more condensed. Its quality had reached the level of a void god realm king, and it was even slightly stronger than normal kings. In reality, the quality of Zhao Feng's true yuan had always been very high, and it wasn't much different from a void god realm king. All of this was because of the demigod's blood in the ancient dream realm. And now, the quantity of Zhao Feng's true yuan had also reached the peak Great Origin core realm. He was only half a step away from becoming a void god realm king. Boom! Boom! The huge yin-yang canopy let out a deafening rumble, and suddenly dimmed by 30 to 40%. That brat! The yin-yang lord was dazed and in disbelief. Shua! Shua! The wings behind Zhao Feng started to shatter and return to their normal size. He flashed through the air and met up with the child demigod and the ghost corpse cursed array. Blood leaked out of Zhao Feng's mouth as the wings of lightning flew through the air. As expected of a peak-tier king, unrivaled against emperors. Zhao Feng's breathing quickened as he wiped away the blood. In terms of foundation, the difference between him and the yin-yang lord was too big. He barely managed to block the attack just now, so he wasn't heavily injured. However, the amount of true yuan expended was terrifying. If the amount of Zhao Feng's true yuan had reached the level of a king, then he would be able to easily fight against a peak-tier king. Without using the god's spiritual eye, Zhao Feng would be able to fight against peak-tier kings like the giant shark king for a short period of time, but it would be disadvantageous if he fought for too long. However, the yin-yang lord's strength was even higher than the giant shark king's. His soul, battle power, and intent were all extremely close to the level of an emperor. Even Zhao Feng's eye bloodline wasn't as effective against him. Master, the child demigod and the ghost corpse cursed array met up with Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng let out a breath. He grabbed a few resources and swallowed them to replenish what he had expended. With the help of the child demigod and the ghost corpse cursed array, Zhao Feng's chances of winning increased dramatically. On the other hand, the yin-yang lord array was broken, and only 2 death spirit lords and a dozen or so death guards were left. Little Kuan Yun, what you need to do now is stall the yin-yang lord. Zhao Feng ordered. The child demigod could suppress the yin-yang lord in terms of intent, even though the difference in strength was huge. Understood, Master. The child demigod's skin glowed with golden light as his sacred body and demigod bloodline started to awaken. Through this battle, the child demigod's strength was stimulated, and he started to recover faster. Heaven sealing 18 palms. The child demigod seemed to slowly push out his palms. Boom, boom, boom. Profound golden palms started to twist and sink into heaven and earth. Everything that was touched by the golden palms seemed to turn into mud, and it was as if time had slowed down. The area that the yin-yang lord was in was locked down and restricted. Who the hell are you? The yin-yang lord's expression changed dramatically. Although he could use his yin-yang secret technique, It was restricted and couldn't do anything. The child demigod wasn't his match in a one-on-one fight. However, the child demigod used a legendary heaven-sealing palm to suppress the Yin-Yang Lord. As long as the heaven-sealing palm didn't stop, the Yin-Yang Lord's attacks and movements would be restricted. Even Emperor Mu Yin wasn't able to escape, let alone avoid God Realm King like him. Good job. Zhao Feng was very happy. The demigod revival plan hadn't gone to waste. At the same time, a surge of eye bloodline power appeared in his left eye, and a dark silver bow appeared in his hand. The scales of victory were leaning toward Zhao Feng. All he needed to do was increase the stakes. Chapter 722. Skylocking Bow. The dark silver bow in Zhao Feng's hand had mysterious carvings on it, and it glowed silver. On the bowstring, a dazzling golden arrow of light, surrounded by a layer of scarlet lightning energy, pierced through the air. On the other side, the Yin-Yang Lord's heart went cold as he was locked onto by a sharp aura. His intent was suppressed by the child demigod's sky-sealing palm, so he obviously couldn't dodge the sky-locking bow's attack. Whoosh! The golden arrow pierced through the air in the blink of an eye and broke through the restrictions of space. Shwa! The golden arrow seemed to come out of space and stabbed into the Yin-Yang Lord's head. This arrow had condensed Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning to the maximum, and it also contained the intent of the God Tribulation Lightning. Apart from that, it also contained the spatial and metal elements of the sky-locking bow. This was definitely the strongest arrow that Zhao Feng had used since he obtained the sky-locking bow, and it could kill normal kings and even severely injure domain-level kings. Boom! The Yin-Yang Lord was unable to dodge since his spatial domain didn't have any effect. Even if he tried to dodge, he was still hit by the golden arrow. Sii. He couldn't help but grunt as the black and white light around his body started to spin, and the golden arrow exploded with a crack. The Yin-Yang Lord's body shook slightly. The sharpness of the arrow and the explosion of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning had injured him. Because the arrow had hit his head, his mind was shaken. Mental Energy Spike. A cold purple mental energy spike shot out from Zhao Feng's left eye and stabbed into the Yin-Yang Lord's soul. This time, the mental energy spike unleashed 100% of its power without the restriction of the Hell Array. The Yin-Yang Lord was repeatedly restricted, and he suffered another vicious mental attack. He felt a stabbing pain in his mind, and he screamed as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. In terms of soul strength, Zhao Feng was on par with the Yin-Yang Lord, and he might even be slightly weaker. After all, the Yin-Yang Lord's soul and intent were extremely close to that of an emperor. However, Zhao Feng's mental energy spike was fired through the god's spiritual eye, and he had also cultivated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique and the dark eye secret technique. His mastery of the Tao of the soul surpassed the Yin-Yang Lord. In addition, this psychic stab was a thunderous counterattack. It felt like a sudden attack. The Yin-Yang Lord felt a sharp pain on his forehead. His mind was actually slightly injured. Not only that, Zhao Feng's soul had been cleansed by the God Tribulation Lightning. Therefore, the Psychic Thorns attack contained the aura of Tribulation Lightning. That was a light injury to the mind that was difficult to heal. There was a trace of undying and imperishable aura. Yin-Yang King, are you all right? The Phantom King exclaimed in shock. On his side, he was restrained by the 4 giant hands of resentment power of the 100 Corpses formation. Inside the Great Ghost Corpse Curse formation, 100 sinister, blood-colored eyes unleashed terrifying psychic power attacks. The flame cloud of the 100 Corpses formation expanded to a radius of 10 li. Without the Purgatory formation, the Death Spirit Lord's side was truly at a disadvantage. Heaven sealing 18 palms. The child demigod's palm techniques didn't stop as he restricted the Yin-Yang Lord. At the same time, he unleashed his divine body fist techniques. Zhao Feng and the child demigod successfully suppressed the Yin-Yang Lord. This was especially true for Zhao Feng. His attacks could be both close and far, and his eye bloodline techniques were extremely hard to defend against. His speed was impressive, and his attacks were as fast as lightning. His bloodline defense was monstrous, and he could easily block the attacks of domain-level kings. Divine light of destruction. A dazzling cyan light that looked like countless tiny particles pierced through the yin-yang heavenly curtain and hit the black and white yin-yang light around the yin-yang lord. The destruction god light's powerful splitting and analysis caused the yin-yang king's protective yin-yang light to dim and shatter, almost collapsing. Not good. It's a rare dispersal technique. The yin-yang lord revealed a look of panic for the first time. His body and bloodline weren't strong, and he wasn't as strong as Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The yin-yang lord's defense relied on secret techniques. However, Zhao Feng had grasped many eye bloodline techniques, and he had many ways to counter them. The divine light of destruction could split apart and analyze all kinds of techniques. It's not over yet. A faint smile appeared on Zhao Feng's face. Soul shooting line. Another cold, transparent beam of light struck the yin-yang lord, whose protective secret art had dimmed. A coldness filled the yin-yang lord's soul. The yin-yang lord's body froze. Under the child demigod's seal and Zhao Feng's lightning, he started to reveal flaws. This was the moment when the flaws were the most serious. Firstly, the mental energy spike had injured his mind, and he wasn't at his peak. Secondly, the divine light of destruction had weakened his defensive technique to the limit, and it was on the verge of shattering. Thirdly, the soul shooting line had lowered his speed and thoughts. Right at this moment, meow meow, a silver-gray line appeared beside the yin-yang lord. A mysterious dagger that was as dark as a shadow seemed to have pierced through the void. Shwa! The Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger easily pierced through the yin-yang lord's defensive technique, and blood splattered everywhere, but soon froze. The yin-yang lord's body froze once again. The freezing effect of the ice soul shooting line and a numbing effect of the Shadow Kill Imperial Dagger also took effect. In reality, with the yin-yang lord's peak strength, the freezing effect and numbing effect didn't have much of an effect on him. However, the yin-yang lord's defense was at its most vulnerable, and he was attacked continuously. Suddenly, he felt a strong sense of danger in his heart. Shwa! A translucent blade that was 20 feet long with traces of destructive tribulation, lightning aura on its surface, slashed through the yin-yang lord's body. In that instant, blood splattered everywhere. He couldn't defend against it. This move. The Dark Soul King's expression changed dramatically. The yin-yang lord's body froze, and fear started to spread on his face. So, the previous rounds of restrictions, neutralizations, and weakening were all for this final void space I slash. Void space I slash. The undulations of Zhao Feng's left, I returned to normal. The continuous use of eye bloodline techniques had consumed a lot of his energy. Shwa! The half-transparent blade contained the aura of God Tribulation Lightning, and it slashed through the yin-yang lord's body, killing his life force. The yin-yang lord's body was almost cut in half from the top to the bottom, from the inside out. Golden Emperor's fist. The child demigod used this chance to attack, and his golden fist became bigger and bigger as it smashed the yin-yang lord's body into a mess of flesh and blood. Zhao Feng's god spiritual, I had already seen the yin-yang lord's organs shatter and his life force disappear. Sky Locking Bow. Zhao Feng thought of something and immediately took out the Sky Locking Bow. Wang, the figure of a black and white Yuan soul, jumped out of his body. Whoosh! A golden arrow surrounded by crimson lightning pierced through his body and soul. The yin-yang lord's physical body exploded. His origin soul was heavily injured and turned pale. With a whoosh, he used his fastest speed to fly into the distant void sea. The speed of his Yuan soul even surpassed normal emperors. Yin-yang King, I'll cover you. Zhao Feng was just about to unleash a second arrow when the Phantom King pounced toward him without any regard for the consequences. The Dark Spirit King's body swelled explosively to a height of over 1,000 zhong, and he transformed into a massive Dark Spirit demon that exuded a devastating aura. The spectral demon was covered in a layer of dark flames that shook heaven and earth. Its battle power had reached the limit of a king and was close to that of an emperor. The child demigod's heaven-sealing palm and ghost corpse cursed array were barely able to stop it. No matter how powerful the secret technique is, it can only increase one's strength. Your soul and heart will remain the same. Zhao Feng sneered. Faced with this situation, he just casually threw out a punch. Fantasy, Maze Domain. That punch contained an enormous soul, Dao, spatial domain that engulfed the gigantic specter demon. The spirit demon's senses were in a mess. It was situated in a vast, ancient maze. It had lost its target and could only attack randomly on the spot. Boom, boom. The attacks of Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the ghost corpse cursed array landed on the vital points of the spectral demon. Although the spirit demon had powerful battle prowess, it was still howling miserably from the beating. Lord Dark Spirit King, the 10 or so death guards that were lucky enough to survive screamed in fear. The spirit demon fell into a desperate situation. It screamed miserably from the beating, but only spun around on the spot. Dark Spirit King, the yin-yang lord, who had escaped, couldn't bear to watch. Sirs, we can't let you die for nothing. The death guards that were ranked at the top gathered in a corner. Now that things have reached this point, we can only try to ask the Emperor for help. But the Emperor is still resting and hasn't recovered his soul power yet. He's very far away from here. The death guards discussed among themselves. How would we know if we don't try? A total of 9 death guards took out a token of death and sent a message. About 2 breaths later, the 9 tokens of death shook as they sent something. Great, we've contacted the Emperor. The leader of the death guards was overjoyed as he quickly reported the current situation. Next, shwa, shwa, shwa. The 9 tokens of death floated in the air. Every single command token was pitch black like ink and emanated an ancient and deep aura. There was an ancient death character on the surface of the command token, and it emanated an aura of death that penetrated the soul. In the next instant, the aura of death from the 9 tokens of death merged into one point and formed a shocking intent of death. That's Zhao Feng and the child demigod's bodies shook as their expressions changed dramatically, only to see a pair of giant black eyes appeared above the 9 tokens of death. They were so dark that they couldn't be seen, as if they were connected to the world of death. The eyes of death. Cries of surprise could be heard from the crowd. That was great. The death guards, including the yin-yang lord who had escaped, were overjoyed when they sensed it. On the other hand, Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader within the ghost corpse curse array seemed to be covered in the shadow of death, and their bodies froze. This is one of the 8 great god eyes, the eyes of death. The child demigod took a deep breath, and it was as if he had fallen into an ice house. He felt uneasy in his soul, as if his life wasn't in his control. Gaze of death. A cold voice sounded across the soul dimension, and everything within 10,000 miles became deathly silent. The eye of death was as cold as the heavenly Tao, and it quietly stared at Zhao Feng from above. Chapter 723. In the sky above the limitless ocean, a pair of pitch-black eyes looked down coldly like the heavenly Tao, and a bottomless whirlpool could be seen in them, as if they were connected to the world of death. Gaze of death. A cold voice, accompanied by a will of death that reached the heavens and the earth, reverberated in this part of the sky. At this moment, the power of the Eye of Death appeared and unleashed a soul, Tao, forbidden technique that shook the Tsang Ocean. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, countless marine and human experts seemed to be covered by the shadow of death. Their hearts felt cold and uneasy, and they couldn't stop this power. This feeling was like an old man at the end of his lifespan, unable to stop the steps of death. The intent of death was the same as time. They were the most irreversible ultimate powers in the heavens and earth. The feeling of one's life not being in one's control was familiar to Zhao Feng. Back in the Purple Saint ruins, Zhao Feng had a similar feeling when he faced the token of death. The difference was, back then, the token of death was only the simplified version of the gaze of death. This time, the power of the Emperor of Death's Eye of Death was countless times stronger than last time. This feeling, the skeletal division leader's consciousness within the ghost corpse cursed array, seemed to be restricted, and it wanted to leave its body. His soul cried out in agony. This was just a trace of the residual power of the gaze of death that had spread out. The Eye of Death. It can control the intent of death. This is the bane of all beings, especially souls. The child demigod took a deep breath and was stunned, putting aside the fact that he hadn't even reached the void god realm yet. Even if he became a king, or even an emperor, he wouldn't be able to block this power. Almost no one in the Tsang Ocean could surpass the Emperor of Death in terms of understanding of the soul. The child demigod's breathing became heavy, and his soul intent felt suppressed. Although he didn't feel as much danger as the skeletal division leader, the feeling that his life wasn't in his control wasn't real. He couldn't help but look toward Zhao Feng. The purple-haired youth was the true target of the Gaze of Death. Gaze of Death was a single-target soul path forbidden technique. However, due to its powerful death soul Dao profundities, the souls of nearby weak living beings could also be pulled away. Zhao Feng froze on the spot, his body and mind cold, a look of struggle on his face. An undefiable power of the soul Dao of death enveloped his body and mind. His soul consciousness was enveloped by the forbidden energy, and it was being pulled by a tremendous force that wanted to break free from his body. Zhao Feng almost couldn't control his body. His forehead was covered in sweat. However, the willpower and conviction in his eyes had never been extinguished. Death gaze? This move again. Emperor of Death. Can you be a little more creative? The purple light in Zhao Feng's left eye grew brighter and brighter. He muttered mockingly as he used the 10,000 divine thoughts technique, a supreme soul technique, to resist the pull of the death soul Dao. Boom! Zhao Feng's eye intent was like a sharp mountain that shot toward the pitch black eye in the sky. This guy, the 9 death guards in the distance couldn't believe it. They maintained their token of death and were protected by the power of death. Zhao Feng's resistance against the gaze of death seemed to be even stronger than Emperor Mu Yan's. Furthermore, he could even counterattack. Gaze of death? How could I not be on guard against this move? A dark purple ocean appeared in Zhao Feng's left eye. With his eye intent as the lead, his resistance against the gaze of death became stronger, even though he was still struggling. So, Zhao Feng had obtained the Emperor of Death's memories from a death guard and used the gaze of death to steal Emperor Mu Yan's soul. That was just one of the reasons. There was another important reason. Don't forget that Zhao Feng had studied the Dark Eye Secret Technique before. The Dark Eye Secret Technique contained many of the Emperor of Death's soul, Dao, Eye Bloodline techniques, but it didn't contain many offensive forbidden techniques. Although the Secret Technique didn't contain any records of the gaze of death, Zhao Feng's understanding of the laws of death could be underestimated. That was why Zhao Feng was on guard against the gaze of death. His God spiritual eye was very resilient against soul Dao attacks. The 10,000 divine thoughts technique was a peerless technique for cultivating the soul Dao. Back then, Emperor Duanmu didn't even agree when some emperors wanted to trade it with him. Emperor of Death. Zhao Feng's cold laughter echoed in the soul dimension. You need a month to recover all of your eye bloodline power. It's only been half a month, and you're forcefully using a teleportation technique again? As soon as he said this, the hearts of the Death Guards and the Yuan soul of the Yin Yang Lord in the distance dropped. Forbidden techniques expended a lot of energy, let alone using them over such a long distance. As long as I can last for 10 breaths, your eye bloodline power won't be able to last, and you'll lose. As Zhao Feng fought back, he also fought back verbally and mentally. In the sky, a cold smile appeared on the giant eye of the Eye of Death. Zhao Feng, you've indeed grown very quickly. However, you've underestimated the Eye of Death's control over the intent of death and its ability to counter souls. The cold and indifferent voice surged with an earth-shattering chill of death. Wang, the whirlpool within the pitch-black eye of death started to spin, and the pulling force increased. Zhao Feng's body went cold, and all of his life force seemed to freeze. He knew that this was the intent of death that the eye of death controlled. Any living being would be countered by the power of death. Zhao Feng obviously wasn't a living being. The pulling force became stronger and stronger, and Zhao Feng's soul started to struggle powerlessly. I can't continue like this. Zhao Feng's heart went cold. His body had gone cold, and he couldn't control it anymore. The only thing he could control was his soul and the God's spiritual eye to fight against the pulling force. However, the pulling force from the gaze of death became stronger and stronger. Under the gaze of the eye of death, Zhao Feng's body went cold as he approached death step by step. With every breath that passed, Zhao Feng's struggling became weaker. Finally, a human-shaped figure started to float out of Zhao Feng's body. Looking closely, it was Zhao Feng's soul. Zhao Feng's soul was extremely strong, and purple lightning surged around his body. His aura surpassed most kings. Is it going to end just like this? The child demigod and the skeletal division leader froze as the shadow of death enveloped them. Luckily, the power of the gaze of death was concentrated on Zhao Feng's body. They were mostly facing the mental energy pressure. However, when Zhao Feng's soul was about to leave his body, it met with resistance. Wang, Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly constricted. You want to take my soul? You'll have to take the God's spiritual eye as well. Zhao Feng started to struggle in the face of death. The God's spiritual eye. This would be his greatest reliance, his final barrier. Zhao Feng's soul power had merged with his eye bloodline, and it was hard to tell them apart. Back then, the reason why Zhao Feng was able to fuse with the God's spiritual eye was because his soul was perfectly compatible with the God's spiritual eye. Otherwise, the God's spiritual eye wouldn't have chosen him. This is the protection of the God's eye. For the first time, the eye of death revealed a hint of wariness and seriousness. The ninth God's eye was in existence on the same level as his bloodline's ancestor, the God's eye of death. Emperor of Death, let's see how long you can last. Zhao Feng's roar sounded in the soul dimension. Pung, 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 pung. Zhao Feng's God's spiritual eye started to twitch. As if stimulated, some of the dormant power in the God's spiritual eye was awakened. Boom! In the eyes of the God Spirit, a tyrannical aura of the primordial origin appeared. It looked down on the desolate land and the universe. Suddenly, he seemed to have transformed into a boundlessly enormous god from the primeval times. A single thought caused the ruler to submit, and every single move he made shook the world. This aura, both friend and foe felt their souls shake as if they were ants in front of the power of a giant god. Insanity appeared in Zhao Feng's eyes. He had already given up on resisting the pull of the gaze of death. Attack! The strongest defense was offense. Zhao Feng roared, and an ancient aura that shook the sky appeared in the soul dimension. He circulated his eye intent, and all the soul power he had accumulated in his life shot toward the enormous pitch-black eye in the sky. Since he gave up resisting, Zhao Feng's soul and the power of his god, I charged toward the Emperor of Death like a heaven-devouring beast. How was this possible? The Emperor of Death's eye of death exclaimed as it endured the force of the ancient aura. Shua! Zhao Feng's soul consciousness and God's spiritual eye left his body, only to see Zhao Feng's left eye return to its normal black color, and his hair returned to its original color. Then, a shocking scene appeared. A purple-colored God's eye appeared in the sky opposite the giant eye of death, and scarlet-colored lightning flashed on its surface. The purple-colored God's eye didn't seem to be illusionary. Instead, it seemed to be a real eye. One could see the eyeball and pupil in the air. From the looks of it, it was like an eyeball made of flesh and blood. This definitely wasn't the form of the eye of heaven, nor was it a pure soul body. The God's eye no longer existed in Zhao Feng's body. It had become one with Zhao Feng's soul, and it traveled through the great void. God's eye leaving body, Zhao Feng felt that his soul eye bloodline power had become stronger than ever before, and the undulation of his soul power wasn't any weaker than an emperor's. After reaching the void god realm, all kings and emperors could leave their yuan souls. Even if the body was destroyed, the soul wouldn't. Zhao Feng's soul, which was one with his god eye, left his body and roamed the great void in the form of his yuan soul. In this state, Zhao Feng's compatibility with heaven and earth was extremely high, and he could fight even in his soul form. Emperor of Death, let's see if you can take away my god's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng's soul consciousness merged with the purple-colored god's eye, and it radiated a chaotic battle intent. Boom! The gigantic purple eye caused wind and lightning to rumble, and the aura of the god Tribulation lightning could be faintly felt as it charged toward the gigantic Eye of Death. Crack! Crack! The pressure from the gods eye caused the tokens of death in the hands of the 9 death guards to shatter. Bong! Boom! The purple-colored god's eye clashed with the pitch-black Eye of Death. Chapter 724. Bong! Boom! The soul dimension started to shake, and it was as if the physical dimension was shaking. The purple god's eye was filled with battle intent, and it was surrounded by a layer of scarlet-colored lightning that could affect the physical dimension and the soul dimension. On the other side, the pitch-black Eye of Death started to reveal panic and uneasiness for the first time. The Eye of Death hadn't truly descended. It was just connected to this place. It could use the gaze of death, but it didn't specialize in physical fights in the soul dimension. Boom! The immense impact of the purple god I had already caused the enormous pitch-black Eye to show signs of instability. Brat, you win this time. The Eye of Death image in the sky strangely rotated and shrank, turning into a small black dot. The Eye of Death expended a lot of energy to use the gaze of death. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death hadn't fully recovered yet, and he was being attacked by Zhao Feng. The Emperor of Death knew that it wasn't realistic to try and kill Zhao Feng this time. Rather than being attacked by Zhao Feng, it was better to retreat and preserve some yuan qi. Shua! As the Eye of Death turned into a small black dot and was about to disappear, the purple god's Eye of Death shockwave engulfed it. Boom! The area where the Eye of Death was originally located was replaced by a large purple-colored god's eye, and scarlet-colored lightning howled as its eye intent shook heaven and earth. At this moment, the eye intent that Zhao Feng displayed wasn't any weaker than an emperor's, and it contained a destructive and unstoppable aura. Whoosh! The Eye of Death disappeared long ago, and a wisp of black smoke rose from where it originally stood. You run pretty fast. The large purple-colored god's eye revealed a weird expression. The Emperor of Death retreated decisively in front of Zhao Feng's counterattack. He was extremely cunning. This way, the price the Emperor of Death had to pay was the lowest. Although the Emperor of Death retreated quickly, he was still affected by the backlash. The price he paid was definitely greater than when he fought against Emperor Mu Yun. The Emperor, the 9 death guards all spat out mouthfuls of blood, and their faces went pale. Boom! The purple god's eye that merged with heaven and earth shot out a beam of eye intent that swept across the 9 death guards. The eye intent instantly destroyed the souls of the 9 death guards along with the sound of destructive lightning. The 9 death guard were all dead. Instant kill. The giant purple gods, I was essentially the carrier of the god's spiritual eye, the form of Zhao Feng's soul, leaving his body. In this state, Zhao Feng's soul's battle prowess was extremely strong, and his affinity with heaven and earth was even stronger. Hiss! The child demigod and the skeletal division leader couldn't help but take in a cold breath. When a normal king's yuan soul left their body, they would usually use it to escape or for some other special purpose. They would rarely use it in battle. It was rare for Zhao Feng to fight in such an arrogant and overbearing manner after his origin soul had left his body. Whoosh! The purple eye that covered the sky suddenly disappeared. In the next instant, it returned to Zhao Feng's body. Zhao Feng's body started to move, and his left eye and hair became faint purple. After returning to his body, Zhao Feng found that he was covered in cold sweat. The battle just now was too dangerous. Luckily, the Emperor of Death's true body hadn't descended, and he wasn't at his peak. The gaze of death used a lot of energy, and it had its own limitations. But after this failure, the Emperor of Death will need at least a month or two to recover to his peak. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he said deeply. Following the failure of the Eye of Death, the battle on the battlefield had ended. The Dark Soul King was on the verge of collapsing, but he managed to escape after the gaze of death was used. The Yin-Yang Lord's Yuan soul was heavily injured, and it saw that the situation wasn't right, so it ran away. Even if these two Death Spirit Lords could keep their lives, it would take several years, or even more than a dozen years for them to regain their peak strength. After the battle, Zhao Feng, the child demigod, and the skeletal division leader were all exhausted. Master, should we go now? Otherwise, the Emperor of Death. Fear appeared in the skeletal division leader's eyes. The Emperor of Death had the ability to kill emperors even if he was several island zones away. If his true body were to show himself, he would be able to use his secret techniques and forbidden arts without any restrictions. The consequences would be unimaginable. There's no need to rush. Zhao Feng didn't deny that the Emperor of Death's true body was terrifying. If the Emperor of Death's true body descended, they might be instantly killed. However, even emperors couldn't cross such a distance easily unless they had the space-time god's eye. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death had used up most of his energy. Let's go down first. Zhao Feng ordered the ghost ship to enter the limitless ocean. Not long later, somewhere in the void ocean, a young man in a state of suspended animation appeared. This youth was Wen Luan, who had been knocked into the ocean earlier. Wen Luan was the first person Zhao Feng tried to break through the Death Spirit refining array. Zhao Feng knew that Wen Luan wouldn't die so easily with his 10,000 ancient races bloodline. Wen Luan's body moved slightly, and he barely managed to open his eyes. At this moment, Wen Luan's soul started to hurt, and his body started to become numb. Soul chains. Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto Wen Luan and locked onto his soul. Wisps of purple lightning wrapped around his soul. This way, Wen Luan couldn't even kill himself if he wanted to. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paw and knocked Wen Luan out again. At this moment, Wen Luan's soul and body were both severely injured, and he was extremely weak. This is a good chance. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He didn't hesitate anymore and sent his eye intent into the depths of Wen Luan's soul and placed a dark heart seal on it. The dark heart seal wasn't the same as the dark heart seed. Once someone was hit by the dark heart seal, they would completely enslave the target. Of course, although the control of the dark heart seal was strong, it would restrict the target's growth. This was because the target's thoughts would be enslaved and lose their true independence. They would be like a puppet that only listened to orders, and it would be extremely difficult to break through. Therefore, Zhao Feng didn't use the dark heart seal on the child demigod. With the latter's intelligence, he would rather die than become a slave. The child demigod and the skeletal division leader were both affected by the dark heart seed. The dark heart seed was like a seed of death planted in the soul, a ticking time bomb. With just one thought, Zhao Feng could destroy the target's soul. Therefore, the dark heart seed controlled the target's life and death. The target had their own thoughts and might rebel, but their growth wouldn't be affected. 2 days later, the ghost ship had traveled a long distance and entered a new island zone. Master! The weak and fearful voice of a youth sounded in the captain's room. Wen Luan half knelt in front of Zhao Feng respectfully. His gaze toward Zhao Feng wasn't just filled with respect, it was also filled with submission. The child demigod and the little thieving cat looked on curiously. I wonder how Zhao Feng will deal with the disciple of the Emperor of Death. The heart of the child demigod became heavy. Even a god beast with a mythical bloodline of the 10,000 ancient races was like a puppet after the dark heart seal was planted. The child demigod always lived in the shadow of the dark heart seed. After reviving, his life and death was in Zhao Feng's hands. As for the dark heart seed, if it was further strengthened, it would be the dark heart seal. Inside the captain's room, Zhao Feng interrogated Wen Luan and the latter answered everything he knew. No wonder the pursuit of death still hasn't disappeared. So, there's a successor of the destiny God's eye. Zhao Feng learned a lot of information from the interrogation. One had to know that the Tsang Ocean was extremely big. Even if he could sense it, trying to kill someone was like finding a needle in a haystack. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had reduced his senses to the max. Zhao Feng originally thought that his luck was too bad, which was why he was chased by the pursuit of death. Eyes of Destiny. The child demigod and the little thieving cat revealed weird expressions. Of the 8 great god eyes, the Destiny god eye was the most unique. Its battle power wasn't the strongest, but it was probably the weakest. However, the power of destiny was something that couldn't be touched or controlled. The fan universe had experienced the immemorial era, the ancient era, and the ancient era. How many peerless experts have been born in that time? All the heavens' favorites and almighties couldn't escape their fates in the end. After that, Zhao Feng searched Wenluan's soul and learned a lot about the Emperor of Death. He didn't even miss out on his habits and personality. Knowing yourself and your enemy was the key to victory. Zhao Feng and the Emperor of Death walked on the path of confrontation. Either one of them died, or the other lived. It was necessary to know more about the enemy. For hours later, Wenluan, go back to your master first. Zhao Feng ordered. Understood, master. Wenluan had a respectful expression as he left the ghost ship with heavy injuries. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng sat down and closed his eyes as he started to cultivate. Now, he was on par with a Void God Realm King in every aspect. In fact, he might even be stronger. The only thing he lacked was the amount of true yuan. He was only half a step away from becoming a true king. The ghost ship's route didn't change. It only stayed at the pirates' sacred land for a month before continuing toward the sky sacred Qin Palace. Half a month later, in a small region of a miniature mountain forest, looking down from the sky, the entire region was filled with verdant mountains and forests. Within a quiet canyon, Wenluan staggered in pain and landed near the entrance of a cave. Plop! Wenluan fell to the ground and gritted his teeth as he said, "Master, I have important news." "Your Highness." 2 death guards immediately helped Wenluan up. "You're still alive?" A voice sounded. Shua, a dark, ancient, and tall figure appeared in front of Wenluan like the shadow of death. The Emperor of Death's expression was weak, but he inspected his disciple with joy. He seemed to sense something, and his expression changed dramatically. In the next instant, Wenluan's expression became dark as the true yuan within his body started to move, and he turned into a blazing sun that instantly self-destructed. Boom! Everything within a few hundred miles was engulfed by the blood-colored flames from Wenluan's self-destruction. The canyon in front of him was instantly level. Chapter 725. That deafening explosion was like an earthquake or a natural disaster. Even thousands of miles away, one could feel the faint shaking. Boom! From afar, the core of the explosion seemed to be the self-detonation of a blood-red golden sun. Dazzling blood-red flames and golden light wreak havoc for hundreds of miles. The core area of the explosion faintly emitted an ancient forbidden aura. The power of the self-destruction this time was more than 2 times stronger than the one in the demigod Forgotten Garden. You should know, the self-detonation from last time had killed a death spirit lord. But this time, Wenluan self-destructed in his complete state instead of using a secret technique. This was because the power of the 10,000 ancient races' bloodline and even his soul accompanied his self-destruction. From this, it could be seen how terrifying the power of the explosion was. Even an ordinary great emperor wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. Boom! Everything within 1,000 miles was shrouded in dust. The environment and climate of the entire mini-domain were affected. This forest was similar to the 8 Desolate Mountain, and its living space was about the same as the 13 countries of Cloud. The strongest expert in this zone was only a great origin core realm sovereign lord. The terrifying aura of this self-destruction made the hearts of the sovereigns in this region jump. The dust that shrouded thousands of li did not disperse for a long time. Zhao Feng! In the core of the explosion, in the ravine that had been flattened, came a voice that made one's heart tremble. That voice was low, hoarse, and extremely cold, as if it came from the depths of hell. They saw a figure of death wearing a dark golden crown stood in place. His loose black robe fluttered in the wind. The Emperor of Death stood where he was, and he seemed completely unharmed. However, his expression was extremely gloomy, and his pitch-black and boundless eyes constricted unsteadily. Within his field of vision, apart from the Emperor of Death and a few death guards, even their corpses were turned into ashes. There seemed to be an invisible force field around the Emperor of Death. Even the ground beneath his feet didn't leave any marks. Such terrifying strength was enough to shock some of the great emperors of the spirit realm, sacred land. Bai Lin. The Emperor of Death's expression changed as he suddenly thought of something. If the white-eyed girl was within a few hundred miles, she would definitely die. She did not have the strength and survivability of a death guard. The death of his third disciple, Wen Luan, brought great humiliation to the Emperor of Death. He had watched as his disciple, whom he had nurtured for many years, self-destructed right before his eyes, but he was unable to stop it in time. What kind of mockery and humiliation was that? All of this was orchestrated by Zhao Feng. However, if the white-eyed girl with the Eye of Destiny also died in the explosion, the losses would be severe. Thinking of this, the Emperor of Death groaned as his complexion became even worse. Even though the self-detonation did not cause him any direct damage, he still suffered a certain amount of backlash from forcefully activating a secret art to defend himself despite his weakened body. This was undoubtedly one disaster after another for the Emperor of Death, who needed to rest. Bai Lin. The Emperor of Death forcefully circulated his divine sense to cover a few thousand miles. Master. A timid voice came from the distant sky. Raising his head, he saw the white-eyed little girl drifting down with a somewhat pale complexion and a lingering fear. It's good that you're still alive. The Emperor of Death couldn't help but let out a long breath. The white-eyed little girl was indeed worthy of having the Eye of Destiny. She had a sharp sense of danger. Before when Luan self-detonated, the white-eyed little girl had gone out to play. Luck was also a part of fate. For someone with the Eye of Destiny, the white-eyed little girl even had the ability to grasp fate. Zhao Feng, I'm afraid this is your true goal. The Emperor of Death's pitch-black eyes gazed in the direction of the pirate's sacred land. The corner of his mouth curled into a cold smile. As long as the Eye of Destiny was on his side, the Emperor of Death had a high chance of winning. Third senior martial brother, I'll take revenge for you. A rare look of hatred appeared in the white-eyed little girl's eyes. The memories of senior martial brother when with her seemed to flash in her mind. The image of the warm youth who always smiled and took care of her couldn't be erased from her mind. A serious expression started to appear on the white-eyed little girl's face. Bai Lin, how's your prediction going? The Emperor of Death asked. The girl with the Eye of Destiny had always been nonchalant, and it was rare for her to be serious. There are more and more clues and information. I'll definitely be able to find his whereabouts. The white-eyed little girl bit her lips as she held her brush. As Zhao Feng escaped and fought with the Death Spirit Lord, more and more information was revealed. In the limitless ocean, on the other side, whoosh, the ghost corpse's ship flew at a high speed in a certain direction. Within the captain's room, unfortunately, Zhao Feng revealed a regretful expression as he sat down. The instant after when Luan self-detonated, Zhao Feng also saw a blurry image through the Dark Heart seal. The Emperor of Death's strength was unimaginable. Furthermore, the white-eyed little girl's aura wasn't within the range of the self-detonation. However, Wen Luan's self-detonation was Zhao Feng's first true counterattack after facing the pursuit of death. In the past, when Zhao Feng faced the pursuit of death, he would either run or fight with his life on the line. However, this time, not only did Zhao Feng injure one of the Emperor of Death's right-hand men, he even counterattacked the Emperor of Death. Skeletal Division Leader changed the route slightly. Zhao Feng suddenly said. The owner of the Eye of Destiny gave him a warning. He couldn't go straight toward the sky, sacred Qin Palace. Next, Zhao Feng told the skeletal division leader to change the route randomly. The destination did not change, but the route changed irregularly. Zhao Feng made this decision based on his intuition. Master, according to the new route, the journey will be longer. It will take another year to reach the sky, sacred Qin Palace. The skeletal division leader said. That's it. Zhao Feng nodded his head. He would focus on cultivating for the next year. Zhao Feng closed his eyes and entered seclusion. At this moment, apart from the amount of true yuan, Zhao Feng was stronger than normal Void God Realm kings. In order to accumulate true yuan faster, Zhao Feng organized some of the spoils of war in his ancient metal ring. In reality, ever since the Fortune in the Heavens Legacy Secret Realm, Zhao Feng had used up all of his resources. The remaining resources and precious materials he had were all plundered later on. However, at this level, the resources that could push Zhao Feng's cultivation became less and less. 2 months passed. Zhao Feng drank the remaining Dragonflame wine and Lightning Cloud wine, but the effects weren't obvious. After all, Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction True Yuan had reached the level of a king, and it was slightly stronger than normal Void God realms. There's still half a cup of Illusion God wine left. A purple crystal cup appeared in Zhao Feng's hand. Gulu. Zhao Feng drank the last half a cup of Illusion God wine. After several months of killing, Zhao Feng's intent had completely stabilized, and it had even improved. After drinking the Illusion God wine, a strong drunkenness covered Zhao Feng's soul consciousness. In essence, the power of the Illusion God wine was absorbed by the soul, and the drunkenness directly affected his soul consciousness. Soon, Zhao Feng's consciousness entered a profound state of emptiness. In just a few breaths, Zhao Feng's mental energy intent seemed to have increased, and his comprehension of heaven and earth increased. Of course, this increase in intent was only temporary. Zhao Feng used his time and entered a state of comprehension. 10 breaths later, that kind of drunkenness from the peak slowly receded. Half the time it took to make tea later. Zhao Feng's consciousness returned to normal, and he shook his head and sighed. At his current level, the effect of the Illusion God wine wasn't as strong as the first time. The comprehension just then only increased Zhao Feng's mental energy intent slightly. However, when one's mental energy intent was approaching the peak of the Void God realm, even the slightest increase was hard to come by. My comprehension of heaven and earth intent should surpass most kings. Zhao Feng nodded his head slightly. Only emperors at the peak of the Void God realm would be able to suppress Zhao Feng in terms of intent. After increasing his intent, Zhao Feng's cultivation speed would also increase. In the next 1 or 2 months, Zhao Feng's cultivation continued to increase. Unfortunately, the resources that he had on hand that could help him advance in his cultivation were getting fewer and fewer. In the 4th month after leaving the Pirate King's sacred land, Zhao Feng's true yuan storage had reached the limits of the peak origin core realm. In the following period of time, Zhao Feng could break through to the Void God realm at any time. Although becoming a king won't increase my strength by leaps and bounds, my foundation will increase greatly. I won't be a burden anymore, Zhao Feng murmured. The strength of his true yuan, the level of his soul, and his mental energy intent had all reached the Void God realm. The only thing he lacked was the amount of true yuan. Previously, when fighting with kings, Zhao Feng had to end the battle quickly. If he fought for too long, he would run out of energy. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng was only half a layer away from reaching the Void God realm. As for the precious resources he had on hand, he had basically used up all of them. On this day, Zhao Feng closed his eyes as his consciousness entered the whirlpool in the center of his purple soul ocean. Shua! Zhao Feng stepped into this ancient land once again. By now, the ancient dream realm's rejection of Zhao Feng was becoming smaller and smaller. This was especially so after merging with the mystic ice-scaled race's bloodline, which was ranked on the 10,000 ancient races. This meant that Zhao Feng would be able to use more battle power in the ancient dream realm. Ta! Ta! Zhao Feng quickly walked across the grass toward the forest in front of him. A while later, Tung, Zhao Feng jumped into the forest. There were many native beasts of the ancient dream realm in the forest, and danger was everywhere. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and avoided some of the larger beasts. At the current stage, the meat of beasts and spring water weren't of much help to Zhao Feng. He needed to find new resources. After entering the forest, Zhao Feng slowed down. In this period of time, Zhao Feng met a poisonous snake and a leopard, but he managed to deal with them without any mishaps. After searching for half a day, Zhao Feng's wish came true, and he saw a huge tree with fruits growing on it. Maybe it was because of the weather, but the other trees didn't have any fruits, and even the leaves were slightly yellow. Only this huge tree had an unusual aura, and there were dozens of yellow and red fruits growing on it. However, the area around the tree was deathly silent, and there was an unsettling aura. Chapter 726. Zhao Feng didn't act rashly. He held his breath and carefully inspected the environment around the tree. The aura around the tree wasn't normal. There wasn't a single insect or beast within 100 yards. It was completely silent. Zhao Feng suddenly felt a coldness, as if he was being stared at by a dangerous aura. Hisses! A long and huge shadow suddenly leaped out from the lush tree, accompanied by a gust of astral wind and the stench of blood. Zhao Feng's heart jumped. His left eye caught sight of a dark green, spotted python. It was 7 or 8 yards long, and its aura was one with the nearby trees. The green spotted python's eyes were red, and it flicked its tongue. When it opened its mouth, it was even bigger than a water tank. With a gust of wind and sand, the green spotted python's fangs instantly arrived in front of Zhao Feng. Too fast. Zhao Feng was frightened, and in a moment of desperation, he used wind lightning to retreat. However, this wasn't enough to dodge the green spotted python's follow-up attacks. Wang, a layer of exquisite blue scales appeared on Zhao Feng's body and covered his entire body like dragon scales. Fuck off. Zhao Feng circulated the mystic ice-scaled race's physique bloodline, and an icy blue spear as thick as a tree trunk appeared in his hand, which he stabbed into the green spotted python's mouth. Shua! Hung! The ice imperial spear only stabbed into the python's mouth by half an inch, and a surge of power pushed Zhao Feng back several yards. Sung! The wings of wind and lightning behind Zhao Feng's back flashed as he quickly retreated and used the nearby trees to dodge. At the same time, his god spiritual eye couldn't help but inspect the green spotted python. Damn, this python probably isn't a wild beast. It already has intelligence and can absorb the essence of heaven and earth. It's a Yao spirit. Zhao Feng took in a cold breath. What kind of environment was the ancient dream realm? How could beings that could absorb the essence of heaven and earth and reach a cultivation level be compared to those in the real world? You should know, the wisp of aura here could cleanse even those at the true Lord rank, and the river water and the meat of the beast here could strengthen the bodies of those at the great origin core realm. The strength of the green, spotted python was evident from the short exchange just now. This fellow's physical strength is powerful, and his blood chi is vigorous. My strength is limited in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng's eyes flickered. In a head-on melee, Zhao Feng was still no match for it. Hiss, hiss! The python's gaping mouth was covered in a layer of frost as it hissed and hissed, glaring coldly at Zhao Feng. Fortunately, this giant python doesn't know any battle skills or secret arts. Zhao Feng let out a sigh of relief. His figure retreated a certain distance, and a dark green ancient bow appeared in his hand. Zhao Feng was just about to activate the sky-locking bow. Right at this moment, a sharp cry came from the sky. Zhao Feng could feel a powerful aura of an atavistic beast lunging at him, which was slightly familiar to him. So, waves of wind surged as an ancient demonic bird that was 5 or 6 feet long swooped down, heading straight for a ripe red fruit on the towering tree. Sii. The green-spotted python hissed in anger as it threw Zhao Feng aside and leapt toward the ancient Yao bird. "It's this Yao bird." Zhao Feng revealed a weird expression. In the early days, when he had just started walking in the ancient dream realm, he had encountered this ancient demonic bird. At that time, Zhao Feng was scared by this Yao bird. At that time, he was barely able to walk in the ancient dream realm. It wasn't like now. Zhao Feng's bloodline, body, and even soul were countless times stronger than before. Furthermore, as the bloodline of the mystic ice-scaled race merged into his body, the pressure Zhao Feng felt in the ancient dream realm decreased. In the blink of an eye, before the python arrived, the ancient demon bird had already picked up a red fruit with its beak and swallowed it quickly. Sii. Boom. At this moment, the green-spotted python leapt over and the leaves swayed. A hint of cunning flashed in the ancient Yao bird's eyes. It flapped its wings and reached the top of the tree. It wasn't a match for the green-spotted python in a head-on fight. However, in terms of agility and mobility, it was far better than the ancient Yao bird. Just like that, the azure-spotted python fought the ancient demonic bird in the air above the tree. Overall, the green-spotted python was at a disadvantage. The ancient Yao bird could move freely. However, it was difficult for it to steal one or two more fruits. It was only able to succeed because Zhao Feng was distracted by the green-spotted python. Good chance. Zhao Feng's eyes lit up when he saw the green-spotted python on the tree. Lightning surrounded his body, and his speed increased. He landed on one of the branches of the towering tree Yao in a few leaps. Quick! Zhao Feng's figure moved behind the python, and he quickly picked two fruits. One was half-ripe azure, and the other was red. If his guess was correct, this fruit could barely be considered a spiritual fruit in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng's actions attracted the attention of the green-spotted python and the ancient Yao bird. The green-spotted python was enraged, and it swept towards Zhao Feng behind it. Zhao Feng put away the two spiritual fruits, and his body became covered in scales and a blue ice armor. This way, he had 2 layers of defense. Pung! Zhao Feng tried his best to dodge and let the python sweep his back. His body shook, and he was sent flying. Zhao Feng used the force to fly back almost 10 yards. There was a small crack on the blue ice armor, but it wasn't anything serious. One had to know that Zhao Feng's 2 layers of defense could block a peak-tier king's attack in the real world. On the other hand, a layer of frost appeared on the tail of the green-spotted python, and its movements became stiff. So, Zhao Feng didn't care about the battle between the 2 Yao spirits and flew out of the forest to the grass. Right at this moment, the screech of the ancient Yao bird came from behind, and a surge of ancient Yao spirit aura leapt toward Zhao Feng. The ancient Yao bird chased after Zhao Feng. Maybe it thought that Zhao Feng was easy to bully and wanted to steal his spiritual fruits. I'll deal with you next time, you bastard. Zhao Feng harumphed coldly. He had already reached his goal, and he didn't want anything else to happen. Shua! Zhao Feng's figure vanished from where he stood. In the next moment, the ancient demon bird brought with it a whistling gust of wind as it flew over, but it pounced on empty air. The ancient Yao bird circled around and was dazed. It was obvious that it couldn't understand why this human would disappear into thin air. Ghost ship, captain's room. Zhao Feng laughed lightly as he looked at the 2 fruits in his hand. The 2 fruits, one green and one red, radiated an ancient aura, and the heaven-earth yuan qi in the outside world started to tremble. Spiritual fruits contain the essence of heaven, earth, sun, and moon. However, the environment of the spiritual fruits in the ancient dream realm was much better than the real world. It was even better than the demigod Forgotten Garden. In order to prevent their auras from leaking, Zhao Feng released a surge of magnificent power to seal the auras of the 2 spiritual fruits. Meow meow. The little thieving cat sat on his shoulder and looked at the 2 fruits with a greedy expression. Zhao Feng scanned with his divine sense and found that the child demigod was in seclusion, saving him some trouble. Seeing this, He took out an azure fruit and gave it to the little thieving cat. Meow. The little thieving cat ate it in one gulp, and in just a short while, it burped and returned to the ancient metal ring to sleep. Zhao Feng clicked his tongue. From the looks of it, the heaven-earth yuan qi contained within the azure fruit couldn't be underestimated. He observed for a while and saw that the little thieving cat didn't have any negative reactions. Zhao Feng didn't hesitate anymore. He opened his mouth and swallowed the red fruit in a few bites. The red fruit didn't melt as expected after entering his body. It seemed like the flesh and fruits of the ancient dream realm were harder to digest than the ones in the real world. However, this was beneficial for Zhao Feng. The energy contained within the red fruit wouldn't be released in one go, so it could be absorbed as much as possible. A few breaths later, wisps of heaven-earth yuan qi with an ancient aura flowed through Zhao Feng's body. The heaven-earth yuan qi contained within this spiritual fruit is extremely strong. Zhao Feng clucked his tongue. Luckily, his state of existence and his 10,000 ancient races bloodline were extremely strong, which was why he was able to absorb the heaven-earth yuan qi within the spiritual fruit. Time slowly passed by. On the same day, the aura of the crystal-like core in Zhao Feng's body started to expand. Just a few wisps of the heaven-earth yuan qi from this spiritual fruit is comparable to a peak spiritual fruit in the outside world. Zhao Feng was overjoyed. Under the influence of the ancient dream realm spiritual fruit, Zhao Feng's body and organs were cleansed. The true yuan contained within the crystal core was not only increasing, but its aura was also becoming more condensed. At the same time, under Zhao Feng's powerful king intent, the heaven-earth yuan qi within several thousand miles surged towards him. Regretfully, the heaven-earth yuan qi within the limitless ocean was extremely thin. Only the inner regions were truly suitable for cultivation and survival. In order to avoid the pursuit of death and leave behind clues, Zhao Feng wouldn't stay in any inner regions or void ocean spiritual palaces. 10 days later, Zhao Feng had completely absorbed the heaven-earth yuan qi within the spiritual fruit, and he had used up a large amount of resources. Luckily, the crystal core within his dantian had reached a new level. From the looks of it, the crystal core was only the size of a date, and its size hadn't changed much. However, there was another world within it. Zhao Feng's divine sense seeped in and sensed a vast dimension of true yuan. Inside the crystal core, the red true essence was like a massive lake. There was a vast amount of it, and it surged endlessly, giving off an inexhaustible sense of fullness. This is the void God realm. The soul is perfectly compatible with heaven and earth, and the true yuan is like an ocean that can't be used up. The true yuan within Zhao Feng's crystal core was like a surging lake. Wherever he was, there was an endless supply of heaven and earth yuan qi. From this moment onwards, even Zhao Feng's true yuan cultivation had reached the level of a void God realm king. His aura started to slowly circulate, and a scarlet-colored light surrounded him. He was like a ball of divine light, and his aura merged with heaven and earth. Void God realm king. The skeletal division leader and the child demigod were both stunned by the king aura. Chapter 7:27. From this moment onwards, Zhao Feng had completely stepped into the level of a void God realm king. If he didn't purposely conceal his aura, his intent and true yuan would be able to connect with heaven and earth. This was equivalent to fusing with the world at all times. This was also why some void God realm kings were enveloped in the magnificent power of heaven and earth, and their every action was filled with power. Congratulations, Master! The skeletal division leader and the child demigod both congratulated. Both of them had a complicated look on their faces. The only difference was that the skeletal division leader's respect came from the bottom of its heart. It had personally witnessed Zhao Feng's miraculous growth. In the Azure Flower Continent, void God realm kings were legendary existences that only existed in ancient legends. Even the Scarlet Moon patriarch of the past had only touched the void God realm. In other words, With Zhao Feng's current cultivation, he was an unrivaled sovereign in the Azure Flower continent, let alone his true strength. The child demigod was stunned by Zhao Feng's rapid growth, and he felt even more wary and pressure. Little Kuan Yun, your cultivation isn't far from the void god realm. Zhao Feng's gaze flashed past the child demigod. The child demigod relied on resources to recover his strength. If it weren't for the restriction of resources, the child demigod might have broken through to the void god realm even faster than Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng's gaze pressured the child demigod. At this moment, Zhao Feng's soul and true yuan were both stronger than the child demigods. The only thing he was lacking was his intent. After all, the child demigod was a demigod before he went back to the past. Even if he hadn't fully recovered, his intent could still suppress emperors. Inside the captain's room, Zhao Feng closed his eyes and consolidated his cultivation. The child demigod returned to the ancient metal ring with a slightly depressed expression. It wasn't hard for him to find that Zhao Feng had used some top-tier resources to break through this time. Due to the lack of resources, the child demigod needed at least half a year to break through. Out of instinct and caution, Zhao Feng controlled the child demigod's cultivation to be on par with his. This was the only way he could control the other party while maximizing his usefulness. In the next few days, Zhao Feng went into seclusion to consolidate his cultivation. Although he had broken through with the help of external forces, his realm and soul had already reached virtual god level. After becoming a king, Zhao Feng's strength didn't skyrocket. After all, only the quantity of his true essence had greatly increased. The strength of his true essence had only improved slightly. This was within his expectations. However, Zhao Feng's strength and foundation had greatly increased. Zhao Feng was confident that with his current strength, he was invincible against anyone below the Emperor realm. With his eye bloodline, he might even be able to challenge an emperor. If he were to encounter the Yin-Yang King again, Zhao Feng wouldn't be afraid, even if it was a one-on-one battle. 10 days later, Zhao Feng's focus shifted to the absorption of the deity Tribulation Lightning and the Wind Lightning inheritance. These were all things that could directly increase his strength. As long as Zhao Feng had free time, he wouldn't stop absorbing the deity Tribulation Lightning. Within the dimension of his left eye, the deity Tribulation head floated silently and leaned against the edge of the purple soul sea. Zhao Feng used the soul version of the lightning transformation divine technique to absorb the power of the god Tribulation head. Boom! The sound of 10,000 bolts of lightning boomed in his soul and radiated an immortal and undying aura of god Tribulation Lightning. Right now, Zhao Feng's soul intent had a strong resistance against the particles of god Tribulation Lightning. After absorbing a few wisps of god Tribulation Lightning, his soul was also cleansed. In the process of absorbing the god Tribulation Lightning, Zhao Feng's soul and intent would become stronger. The effect was unexpectedly good. As time passed, Zhao Feng would be able to absorb a wisp of god Tribulation Lightning every few days. On top of that, he used the 10,000 divine thoughts technique to multitask. Absorbing the god Tribulation Lightning to refine his soul intent was part of his daily cultivation. Zhao Feng's other intents focused on the Wind Lightning inheritance and the wings of wind and lightning. In the blink of an eye, 3 to 4 months had passed. Within the captain's room, the aura that Zhao Feng occasionally gave off became more and more terrifying. In the purple soul sea, Zhao Feng absorbed 70 to 80 wisps of god Tribulation Lightning, which was 20 to 30 times more than when he was at the pirate sacred land. A total of 78 wisps of god Tribulation Lightning. 78 wisps of god Tribulation Lightning appeared in Zhao Feng's purple soul sea. The divine Tribulation Lightning was shapeless and immaterial, and it possessed an eternal and domineering aura that looked down upon all things in the world. He observed closely. There were 78 ancient symbols of lightning in the purple soul sea. They gave off a faint dark light and were connected to each other like electric circuits. 1. Zhao Feng circulated the 10,000 divine thoughts technique. and his soul power affected 70 to 80 wisps of God tribulation lightning. Some God tribulation lightning particles flowed and refined his soul. At the same time, Zhao Feng started to comprehend the laws of the God tribulation lightning and merged them into the crystal core in his dantian. The surging true Yuan dimension within the crystal core started to contain the aura of God tribulation lightning that countered all lightning. Unknowingly, Zhao Feng's comprehension of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning had almost reached 100% completion. The Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning was like a burning cloud, and it had a faint golden glow on its surface. After the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning comes the Golden Wind Lightning. But my power of Wind Lightning has already surpassed the Wind Lightning Emperor's expectations. Zhao Feng murmured in his heart. The aura of the ancient dream realm and the laws of the God Tribulation Lightning had merged into his power, making it exceed the limits of normal lightning. Master, the child demigod's voice suddenly sounded. Zhao Feng opened his eyes and looked at the restless child next to him. It's like this. There are a few strong pirate forces nearby, and I want to take some resources from them, the child demigod said. Zhao Feng scanned the area with his divine sense and found that there were indeed a few pirate forces. Each of them had at least a half-step king. Master, I'll finish this quickly and won't delay the journey, the child demigod begged. Zhao Feng understood that the child demigod needed resources to recover his cultivation. Go. Zhao Feng waved his hand and didn't stop him. He hadn't provided any resources to the child demigod recently, but he couldn't stop him from obtaining resources. Whoosh! The ghost ship didn't slow down at all, and it continued to fly forward. The only difference was that the child demigod had left the ghost ship. Next, Zhao Feng witnessed a massacre. The pirates didn't even have the ability to fight back against the child demigod. Boom! The golden-skinned toddler, who was 3 or 4 years old, punched out and shattered the entire pirate ship. In just the time it took to make a cup of tea, the child demigod had destroyed several pirate forces all by himself, and Zhao Feng had no idea what was going on. Although the grade of these resources isn't high, it's better than nothing. The child demigod organized the spoils of war. Whoosh! Then, he turned into a ray of golden light and quickly caught up to the ghost ship. The entire process didn't waste any time at all. After this, Zhao Feng didn't stop the child demigod from doing this. However, he warned the child demigod not to be within 10,000 miles of him. In reality, Zhao Feng also lacked resources for his own cultivation. After breaking through to the Void God Realm, the resources he needed were even more stringent. The lifespan of Void God Realm kings was several thousand years, and every small breakthrough required a large amount of resources. On this day, Zhao Feng entered the ancient dream realm once more. Just like last time, Zhao Feng entered the forest. His target was the spiritual fruits on the tree in the depths of the forest. When Zhao Feng came this time, the number of spiritual fruits on the tree had decreased by a few more. There were more wounds on the python's body. It wasn't hard to guess that there were still some beasts and Yao spirits in the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng opened his god's spiritual eye and inspected the surroundings. As expected, Zhao Feng saw the ancient Yao bird. There were some scars on its feathers, indicating that its injuries hadn't healed yet. If this continues, there will be fewer and fewer spiritual fruits on the tree. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed as he started to think. He could kill 2 Yao spirits, which wasn't hard for the current Zhao Feng. However, 2/3 of the fruits on the tree were still green and far from ripening. Some of the green fruits didn't even reach 1/10 of their full potential. The one Zhao Feng had eaten last time was a 70% ripe spiritual fruit, but it didn't have the best effect. Soon, a thought appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. Fine, I'll choose you too. Zhao Feng's god spiritual eye scanned over the snake and ancient Yao bird. The 2 primordial demon spirits shivered inexplicably in their hearts. Zhao Feng's first target was the ancient Yao bird. This was because the ancient Yao bird was very agile and had a large range of vision. Zhao Feng was worried that the bird would sneak attack him while he was dealing with the snake. So, Zhao Feng silently leapt to the edge of the forest, his left eye still locked onto the ancient Yao bird. The ancient Yao bird's heart shook as it felt a sense of danger. It suddenly felt Zhao Feng's enmity and screeched as it leapt over. Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame. A scarlet-colored light flashed in Zhao Feng's left eye, and there was a hint of gold within it. Boom! The ancient Yao bird was caught off guard by a ball of half-transparent scarlet lightning before it even arrived. The Scarlet Destruction Eye Flame contained the essence of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning and the intent of the God Tribulation Lightning. The ancient Yao bird's eyes were filled with stars. Just a single blow from the eye flame had severely burned the ancient demonic bird's soul. Its wings were covered in scorch marks. Dark Heart Seal. Zhao Feng took advantage of the moment the bird's mind was in pain and confusion to use a forbidden soul eye bloodline technique. In the air, the ancient Yao bird struggled for a bit, then stopped resisting and obediently landed in front of Zhao Feng. Success. Zhao Feng smiled faintly. Next, he brought the ancient demon bird with him as he approached the green-spotted python near the towering tree. SII. The green-spotted python couldn't help but reveal wariness as it saw Zhao Feng and the ancient bird approach. Go! Zhao Feng ordered the ancient Yao bird to go over and deal with the snake. From afar, he launched a sneak attack with a psychic spike to injure the python's mind and successfully cast the Dark Heart Seal. Just like that. The two rulers within the forest were successfully enslaved by Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng ordered the Yao bird and the snake to guard the tree and not let any living beings get close. 28 in total. Zhao Feng counted and found that there weren't many spiritual fruits left. 2/3 of them were unripe, and there were 7 or 8 that were half-ripe. Zhao Feng picked 2 of the spiritual fruits that were 80 to 90% ripe. Zhao Feng then started to search the ancient Yao bird's soul. He wanted to learn more about the ancient dream realm through this bird. Chapter 728. A while later, Zhao Feng withdrew the soul-searching art from his left eye and let out a breath. As he looked at this ancient land, his gaze became somewhat different. There wasn't much information about the ancient dream realm in the bird's memories. It seemed to be the lowest tier of beasts in the ancient dream realm, and it had only just reached this level. The ancient demon bird would only stay in this area for its entire life. The areas further away were even more dangerous. Some of the powerful auras made it not dare to get close. There were indeed some powerful beasts in the ancient dream realm. In the bird's memories, it had met a humanoid race 2 or 3 times. However, the auras of those races were so oppressive that the ancient demonic bird couldn't breathe, even though it was still far away. From the memories, Zhao Feng could feel how terrifying those races were. This ancient dream realm isn't simple. I need to be careful and not advance recklessly. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. At the same time, he was slightly confused. Why was he able to enter this dimension with his left eye? What was the relationship between the ancient dream realm and the owner of the god's spiritual eye? Of course, the most puzzling thing about the ancient dream realm was that Zhao Feng was in sync with this place. It was obvious that Zhao Feng didn't just enter with his consciousness. In the ancient dream realm, Zhao Feng's body was made of flesh and blood, so he could use weapons, including the ancient metal ring. However, Zhao Feng hadn't tried to bring other beings in yet, so he had to find out if it was possible. At the moment, Zhao Feng didn't want to reveal the secret of the ancient dream realm. You guys stay here and guard this place. Before leaving, Zhao Feng gave them some instructions. Shua. In the real world, 2 fruits appeared in Zhao Feng's hands. Without hesitation, he ate a 90% ripe spiritual fruit first. The spiritual fruits in the ancient dream realm were many times more effective than the top spiritual fruits in the real world. However, after reaching the void god realm, one needed to accumulate a large amount of resources to increase their cultivation. Zhao Feng estimated that even if he ate all 28 fruits, he would only be able to push his cultivation to the intermediate empty God realm. And this was under the assumption of maximizing the effects of absorbing the spirit fruit. In the captain's cabin, Zhao Feng revolved his true essence and absorbed the primordial heaven and earth essence qi from the spirit fruit. In the true yuan space of the core, the scarlet true yuan surged violently. After absorbing the energy of the spirit fruit, it boiled like a burning scarlet sea. When one reached the virtual God realm, one's true vitality was almost inexhaustible under normal circumstances. However, in the process of reaching the void God realm, the expansion of his true yuan space and the improvement of his soul intent were still progressing. It would be a long road. Even if Zhao Feng could enter the ancient dream realm, he would only be able to shorten the entire path. 1 month later, Zhao Feng had absorbed 2 spiritual fruits, and his true vitality cultivation had been further consolidated. However, he was still far from reaching the middle stage of the empty God realm. Of course, within the soul sea, absorbing the power of God tribulation lightning was like a daily task. Using the power of God tribulation lightning to refine it, Zhao Feng's soul became stronger day by day and was slowly approaching the level of an emperor. Apart from that, Zhao Feng didn't stop studying the wings of wind and lightning. Lightning wings flying technique. Lightning wings wind flash. Wind lightning wings slash. A part of Zhao Feng's consciousness had been studying the lightning wings secret technique and the Death Spirit Lord. After the battle with the Pirate Emperor and the Death Spirit Lord, Zhao Feng had gained a lot of insight into the lightning wings secret technique. Zhao Feng's next goal was the highest level of the lightning wings wind flash, lightning wings spatial flash. In essence, lightning wings spatial flash was the combination of the lightning wings wind flash and the lightning wings flying technique. Under the foundation of the extreme speed of the wind and thunder ultimacy, he used the Thunder Wings escape space secret skill to perform a magical leap across space. Once one comprehended the lightning wings spatial flash, one could travel 1,000 miles in an instant. However, in order to comprehend the lightning wings spatial flash, one had to be able to use the lightning wings flying technique and the lightning wings wind flash well. Zhao Feng was trying to get closer to this goal. Time slowly passed by. Zhao Feng started cultivating on the ghost ship, and he didn't face the pursuit of the death god. This was within Zhao Feng's expectations. Firstly, the Emperor of Death subordinates had all been killed by Zhao Feng. Secondly, Zhao Feng had destroyed the wisp of Eye of Death intent, making it hard to sense it. After becoming a king, Zhao Feng merged more God tribulation lightning into it, and his 10,000 divine thoughts technique was approaching the level of turning one thought into 1,000. Logically speaking, Zhao Feng should have been able to completely destroy the intent of the Eye of Death. However, Zhao Feng didn't do this. He purposely left behind the last wisp of Eye of Death intent and sealed it completely. Unless the Emperor of Death was right next to him, he wouldn't be able to sense it. Emperor of Death, I've been on the run for many years because of you. I'll definitely pay you back several times over. A thought appeared in Zhao Feng's heart. He had been chased for many years and lived on the border of life and death. If it was anyone else, they would have a hard time releasing their pent-up anger. 9 months after leaving the pirate's sacred land, Wang, a new king's aura arose within the ghost ship. Void God Realm. I finally reached it. The child demigod's body glowed with a golden light, as if he was a golden Buddha statue. Just the aura radiating from his sacred body made the late-stage Great Origin Core Realm Skeletal Division leader feel suffocated. This demigod Kuan Yun's golden Kuan sacred body has basically reached the 5th level. Zhao Feng woke up from seclusion. He also had the inheritance of the golden Kuan sacred body and the even higher golden Kuan sacred lightning body. Once the golden Kuan sacred body reached the late stages of the 5th level, he would be unrivaled at the Void God Realm, and it wouldn't be hard for his body to fight against an emperor. His cultivation had broken through to the Void God Realm, and his golden Kuin's sacred body had basically reached the 5th level. Zhao Feng couldn't estimate the battle power of the child demigod. However, there was one thing he was sure of. The child demigod was definitely unrivaled against anyone below emperors, but whether or not he could fight against an emperor remained to be seen. Master, if we team up now, we don't need to be afraid of anyone as long as they aren't peak emperors. The child demigod's voice sounded. Indeed, now that Zhao Feng and the child demigod had both broken through to the void god realm, they were basically unrivaled against anyone below emperors. If the two of them teamed up, they wouldn't need to be afraid of normal emperors. This isn't enough to deal with the Emperor of Death. Zhao Feng shook his head faintly. He wasn't arrogant. Void God Realm emperors were also split into different ranks. The difference between normal emperors and peak emperors was huge. Furthermore, the Emperor of Death was an unrivaled existence amongst emperors, and his battle power was probably close to a mystic light realm sacred lord. Master, I need resources right now. As long as I have enough resources, I can recover my strength even further. The child demigod said bitterly. He was a demigod and could revive from a drop of blood. As long as he had enough resources, he would be able to quickly recover his strength. Zhao Feng remained expressionless. He didn't want to give the child demigod any more resources from the ancient dream realm. He needed to limit the amount of resources he gave the child demigod. If he didn't do so, he might become even more of a threat than the Emperor of Death. I don't have enough resources right now. Zhao Feng shook his head and said, Meow meow. The little thieving cat popped its head out and waved its paws as if it was also complaining. Master, the cursed ghost corpses have all reached the peak small origin core realm, but we need large amounts of resources to increase their strength. The skeletal division leader said bitterly. Within the ghost ship, a human, a child, a cat, and a skeleton fell into a weird atmosphere. In just one night, the ghost ship was facing a shortage of resources. Not only was it a shortage of resources, Zhao Feng didn't even have much primal crystal stones left. He still needed to leave some primal crystal stones to maintain the ship's flight. The source of this crisis was the Heaven's Legacy Races city. However, even if Zhao Feng had a second choice, he would still do the same thing. Master, I have a suggestion. The child demigod's eyes flashed as he suddenly said, Suggestion? Don't tell me we're going to rob some island or two-star sect. Zhao Feng rolled his eyes. Judging from the current resource crisis, even if they looted a few one-star sects and wiped out dozens of pirate forces, it would be of no use. There was only one reason. Zhao Feng and the child demigod's level was too high, so normal resources were useless against them. Master, I just killed a pirate group and received some information. There are several two-star sects in the Red Dragon Island zone ahead, and they're fighting. The child demigod licked his lips and had an evil expression that seemed to say, You know what I mean. When this expression fell on the face of a young child, it was a little strange and added a bit of gloominess. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved its paws in agreement. It had been so poor recently that it didn't even have food to eat. The skeletal division leader also had an excited and expectant expression. A two-star battlefield? Zhao Feng's heart shook. A battle between two-star sects would definitely be huge, and it would involve a lot of resources. If it was in the past, Zhao Feng definitely wouldn't be able to avoid a two-star battlefield at all costs. But now, the enormous two-star battlefield was a good place to take advantage of the situation. And let me take a look at the map. With a thought, a screen of ice and water appeared in front of Zhao Feng. The outline of a nearby island zone appeared on the screen. The Red Dragon Island zone that the child demigod mentioned was about 1/5 of the way to the island zone. Zhao Feng continued to look down the map. His gaze passed by another 5 or 6 island zones before Zhao Feng saw the Gon's Sacred Island Zone. The Sky's Sacred Qin Palace isn't far. Zhao Feng's heart moved. The Sky's Sacred Qin Palace was in one of the Gon's Sacred Island Zone zones. Before he reached the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace, it was not a bad choice to get some resources and wealth. Let's go. Zhao Feng himself was impatient, but he didn't know if it was because of the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace or because they were getting closer. So, The ghost ship sped up, and it seemed to become excited as it sped toward the Red Dragon Island Zone. At the same time, within the Red Dragon Island Zone, an island zone that was twice the size of the Azure Flower Continent. Rumble. Boom. Boom. Magnificent powers clashed in the sky, and heaven and earth seemed to shake. The mountains and rivers of the island zone started to crumble, and dust billowed. Below were some origin core realms. There was a total of 3 two-star sects that were fighting intensely. There were 4 or 5 Void God Realm Kings involved in this battle. They didn't know that 4 uninvited guests were quickly approaching. Chapter 729. This 2-star battlefield was a resourceful island within the Red Dragon Island Zone. In terms of population and resources, this island was twice as big as the Azure Flower Continent. The leaders of this war were 3 two-star sects and 18 one-star sects that were involved in it. The Red Dragon Island Zone was similar to the Tianlu Island Zone. One of the 3 two-star sects was a 2.5-star sect called the Sky Star Demonic Sect, and it was fighting against the other 2 two-star sections. At this moment, in the air above the battlefield, the Sky Star Demonic Sect had 2 Void God Realm Kings. One of them was a majestic male wearing a black gold robe. A dark star symbol flashed on his forehead, and he was surrounded by a black force field. The black golden-robed male fought against 2 Void God Realms by himself, and he was still able to do it easily. This Sky Star Demonic Lord's cultivation has already reached the late-stage God Void realm. His strength isn't far from the peak tier king level. The 2 kings were a white-haired elder and a woman in white, and they were in a tough battle. The Sky Star Demonic Lord was the sovereign of the Sky Star Demonic Sect, and he was one of the strongest Void God Realm experts in the Red Dragon Island Zone. Demonic Star Domain. The Sky Star Demonic Lord waved his sleeves, and the sky was covered by a domain of darkness. Boom! Whoosh! Dark stars appeared in the space domain, shooting out beams of demonic starlight that suppressed the white-haired old man and the white-robed woman. Apart from that, in the sky of the realm, another beautiful woman from the Heavenly Star Demonic Sect was surrounded by a pitch-black aura. A vast demonic power pressed down on a king of the Sword Dao. Sky Flowing Sword King. The female from the Sky Demonic Sect smiled. My serene force field specializes in borrowing power. Even if your attack is 30% stronger, you won't be able to do anything. In half a day, you won't be able to keep up. Perhaps it won't be that long before the sect master finishes the battle. Then let's try. The king of the Sword Dao didn't move, and his sword intent was as firm as a rock. Beams of cold sword light pierced through the sky. Whoosh! The female's serene force field started to become unstable, and her expression couldn't help but change. So, the Sky Flowing Sword King was the #1 expert in the Tao of the Sword in the Red Dragon Island Zone, and he was the only sword cultivator to become a king. Boom, boom, boom. The battle between the Origin Core realms caused mountains to crumble and the earth to crack. Gales of wind blew everywhere, and dust blew everywhere. In normal islands, those at the Origin Core realm were invincible sovereigns. However, the clash of several kings in the air caused the sovereigns' hearts to jump, and they didn't dare to get close. At the same time, the sound of something tearing through the air came from the void sea. Whoosh! A ghost ship entered the edge of the 2-star battlefield. At the edge of the outer realm, there were also supremacies fighting, as well as ships transporting resources. Who are you? The arrival of the Ghost Corpse ship attracted the attention of one of the 2-star sections. Meow meow. On the Ghost Corpse ship, a silver-gray kitten stuck a large skull flag on it. Pirate ship. The experts who were fighting in this area had strange expressions on their faces. Ordinary pirate forces would run as far as they could when they saw a 2-star sect. Most experts wouldn't even be able to escape when they saw a 2-star battlefield. However, what happened today had broken their mindset. Not only did the ghost pirate ship not go around the 2-star battlefield, it even charged in excitedly. Stop that pirate ship! A great Origin Core realm sovereign lord led a group of several dozen people, the weakest of whom was at the late stage True Lord rank, and charged toward the pirate ship. Wong, a thick layer of ghost corpse flame cloud, suddenly appeared on the ghost corpse sea ship. 100 pairs of blood-red and ferocious eyes appeared inside the ghost corpse sea ship, bursting with astonishing resentment power. Ark, the experts at the Origin Core realm, all collapsed before they even got close. Some even had their souls destroyed. The ghost corpse's ship sailed straight in. This group of people was instantly turned into a puddle of blood, and their essence was absorbed by the ghost corpse cursed array. Meow meow. The little thieving cat and the golden-skinned child flew through the air and harvested the spoils of war. Of course, the little thieving cat and the child demigod would only take the spoils of war from Origin Core realms. Within the captain's room, Zhao Feng sat there casually and took a sip of the celestial wine from the demigod cellar. Everyone, hand over your interspatial items, and I'll let you live. The child demigod roared. Meow meow. The little thieving cat waved the skull flag and cheered. The two little fellows floated in a vacuum above the ghost corpse flame cloud, so the ghost corpse cursed array didn't affect them. How dare you? A measly pirate ship dares to rob the sky. Star demonic sect? A group from the demonic sect charged over. The ones leading them were 2 great Origin Core realm sovereign lords, and there were 7 or 8 normal sovereigns. Such a force could easily destroy several 1-star sections. However, the 100 pairs of scarlet eyes and the ghost corpse flame cloud caused the hearts of the devil sex experts to shatter and their souls to scatter. They still couldn't fight back. This group of people became fertilizer for the ghost corpse cursed array. This 2-star battlefield is indeed a good place to feed. The skeletal division leader laughed coldly and said. Then, wherever the ghost ship passed, the experts from 1- and 2-star sects were scared out of their wits. However, the ghost ship was extremely fast, and the Origin Core realm experts couldn't dodge it at all. Hand over your interspatial items, and I'll let you live. The child demigod roared. My lord, we'll hand them over. Several sovereigns at the Origin Core realm were scared out of their wits and knelt on the ground, handing over their interspatial items and treasures. The child demigod and the little thieving cat had sharp eyes, so these experts couldn't hide anything at all. In the end, the sovereigns that handed over their interspatial items all escaped. There were also some who resisted, but without exception, they all became fertilizer for the ghost corpse cursed array. At this moment in time, a small commotion broke out in the battlefield. Wherever the ghost corpse ship passed, there would be chaos, and everyone would be in danger. Luckily, the ghost ship's goal was to steal and not to kill. As long as one handed over their interspatial items, they would be able to survive. At the start, the ghost ship only roamed around the outer edges of the battlefield. After roaming around the outer edges, the ghost ship headed toward the center of the battlefield. Where did this pirate ship come from? How dare it? The expressions of the Void God Realm kings fighting in the sky became grim. Only to see, the ghost ship didn't differentiate between factions, righteous or demonic. The Void God Realm kings originally thought that the pirate ship was just striking while the iron was hot, and that it was trying to take advantage of the situation. However, from the looks of it, after roaming around the outer edges, the ghost ship headed toward the center, as if it wanted to rob the entire 2-star battlefield. Which bandits are you from? Hurry up and capture them. At the center of the battlefield, a half-step Void God Realm and several sovereign lords charged over. These experts came from different sections. It was obvious that the actions of the ghost ship had angered everyone, and the righteous and demonic forces had teamed up to deal with them. Leave behind your interspatial items, and I'll let you live. The child demigod had a cold expression. A brat whose hair hasn't even grown out yet. The leading half-step king laughed instead of getting angry as his half-step king intent pierced through the sky. Hushua, a thick cloud of ghost corpse flames, turned into a tornado that engulfed the group of people in the blink of an eye. Ark, amidst miserable shrieks, the entire group, including the half-step king, was turned into nourishment. This scene caused the entire battlefield to change. The center of the 2-star battlefield was filled with fear and chaos. The ghost ship used its unrivaled momentum to steal from many experts. Some Origin Core Realm experts obediently handed over all their wealth in exchange for their lives. With this example, many experts followed suit. Meow meow. The little thieving cat smiled and kept collecting the spoils of war. Of course, a small number of experts tried to kill the little thieving cat, but all of them were instantly killed. Among them were 1 half-step king and 2 peak supremacies. After killing the chicken to warn the monkeys, the remaining experts shuddered and sucked in a breath of cold air. In the sky, the Void God Realm kings finally stopped fighting. What's the background of this pirate ship? The Void God Realm kings on the 2-star battlefield looked at each other, and their expressions became solemn. On the ghost ship, there was a youth, a child, a cat, and a skeleton. This combination was hard to see through. However, it was this weird combination that managed to dominate the 2-star battlefield. No matter what, we have to leave this pirate ship behind. The dark star symbol on the sky, Star Demonic Lord's forehead, started to twitch and flash. If this pirate ship was allowed to escape unscathed, it would be a huge humiliation for the entire Red Dragon Island zone. The 5 Void God Realm kings came to an agreement and sent the Sky Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect to deal with the pirate ship. Whoosh, whoosh. The 2 Void God Realm kings descended from the sky, and their magnificent power caused the heaven-earth Yuan Qi nearby to freeze. Zha, more spoils of war. The child demigod was overjoyed instead of surprised. Seeing the 2 kings arrive, the child demigod's body glowed with a golden light, and a terrifying surge of magnificent power appeared in the air. Only now did the child demigod reveal his king cultivation. Boom! The figures of the Sky Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect shook as if they were being crushed by a mountain. The 2 kings harumphed and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Not good. Go and save them. The expressions of the Sky Star Demonic Lord and company changed dramatically. The strength that the child demigod displayed was comparable to a peak-tier king. The Sky Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect weren't his match. Even the Sky Star Demonic Lord didn't have the battle power of a peak-tier king. Pung! Boom! A heaven-shaking rumble came from the void below, and the mountains and rivers within 1,000 miles collapsed inch by inch. Kneel! The child demigod's small body released a dominating physical force as 2 golden hands pressed the Sky Flowing Sword King and the female from the demonic sect onto the ground. Wah! The 2 kings spat out a mouthful of blood, and their faces went white. Meow meow! The little thieving cat flew over and took the interspatial items of the 2 kings. The female from the demonic sect's eyes were filled with coldness as the Sky Flowing Sword King's sword hummed and tried to counterattack. The child demigod snickered coldly. Boom! Boom! The 2 hands pressed down and crushed the 2 kings into a puddle of blood, which was then engulfed by the ghost corpse flames. The child demigod's golden Kuan sacred body had just reached the 5th level, and he could sweep across Void God Realm kings with just his physical force alone. If he reached the late stages of the 5th level, his sacred body could even fight against emperors. Chapter 730. The child demigod's killing intent made the bodies of the Sky Star Demonic Lord and company go cold. In just an instant, 2 normal Void God Realm kings were killed by the child demigod. Hand over your interspatial items, and I'll let you live. The child demigod licked his lips and looked at the 3 kings that were about to arrive. At this moment, the entire battlefield was deathly silent. The terrifying strength of the 3-4-year-old child made the hearts of the experts from the 1-star and 2-star sects jump. Even 2 kings had been easily killed by him, let alone those below the Void God Realm. Who are you? The Sky Star Demonic Lord's expression was grim, and his eyes were cold as the dark symbol on his forehead started to flicker. The sovereign of the demonic Tao in the Red Dragon Island zone was famed throughout the heavens and earth. Of the remaining 3 kings, only his strength was close to a peak-tier king. If the Sky Star Demonic Lord teamed up with the other two kings of the Righteous Tao, they could definitely fight against the Peak Tier King and even win. I don't want to repeat myself. The child demigod's expression became cold as he used his sacred body and demigod intent to seal the air. Both sides were in a stalemate. The Sky Star Demonic Lord, the white-haired elder, and the woman in white didn't dare to make any rash moves. This was because the only one from the ghost ship side was the child demigod. There was also a mysterious youth within the pirate ship who was also immeasurably strong. That youth disappeared? The divine senses of the three void God Realm Kings locked down this area and caught a slight disturbance in space. Lightning Wings Flying Technique. Shwa. A pair of 200 feet long crimson lightning wings that looked like burning wings surrounded by lightning appeared above the heads of the Heavenly Star Demon Master and the others. The three kings instantly felt a surge of lightning fire destruction sweep over, and they felt like they were suffocating. Boom! With the wings of wind and lightning as the center, a storm of destruction enveloped the three kings, forcing them to circulate their magnificent power to defend. Master, the child demigod, let out a breath. He had a chance of winning against the Sky Star Demonic Lord and company alone. However, if the three of them ran in different directions, it would be hard for him to kill them all. Right now, if Zhao Feng used the lightning wings flying art to appear behind the three kings and form a pincer attack, then the Celestial Star Demonic Lord and company would have no chance of survival. The child demigod knew how fast Zhao Feng was. Master, the Heavenly Star Demonic Lord, and the other two paled in shock. They felt a chill spread from the soles of their feet to their entire bodies. This little child had the battle power of a Peak Tier King. Then, what kind of existence would his master be? Both of you stop. The white-haired old man and the white-robed beauty were quite frightened, and they hurriedly called out. If they really fought with the Heavenly Star Demon Lord's strength, he might be able to escape. The two of them were only normal kings, so their chances of escaping were less than 5%. These two are at least Peak Tier King tiers. The Heavenly Star Demon Lord lost his will to fight. The Demon Star, true power in his body, secretly revolved, preparing to escape. As the #1 expert of the demonic Tao in the Red Dragon Island zone, the Sky Star Demonic Lord's wealth far surpassed that of normal kings. He was not willing to be robbed by others. However, he had only just started preparing his escape technique when the youth with lightning wings behind him attacked. Stay here. The Scarlet Destruction lightning wings on Zhao Feng's back grew by a couple dozen yards, and they seemed to cover the sky. The magnificent power from his king intent increased. Pung! Zhao Feng just punched out, and the air turned into a dimension of ice. Everything was frozen. Not good. Ice Sealing Domain. The Sky Star Demonic Lord and company entered a dimension of ice. Their bodies froze, and a layer of ice formed on them, causing their speed to decrease dramatically. Not only that, within that punch, a misty labyrinth world appeared vaguely, shrouding his body and mind. What? Soul Dao Domain? Double Domain? The hearts of the Sky Star Demonic Lord and company panicked, and they couldn't fight back at all. Mystic Ice Domain. Maze Domain. Double Domain. The Mystic Ice Domain came from Zhao Feng's Mystic Ice scaled race bloodline. In other words, Zhao Feng's simple punch contained two spatial domains. One was a Soul Dao domain, and the other was a physical Mystic Ice domain. The Mystic Ice domain's effect was to freeze everything. All living beings within the profound ice space domain would be enveloped by the profound ice's cold energy and be frozen solid. When the two spatial domains were stacked together, the power was immeasurable. Pung! The Sky Star Demonic Lord was sent flying by the punch, and a layer of ice formed on his body. He was already heavily injured. Under the stacking of the two domains, he couldn't fight back at all, and his mind and body were both injured. When Zhao Feng's illusion, Maze Domain, merged into an attack, it could not only cause mental confusion, but it also had a certain impact on the soul. My lord, stop. We're at your disposal. the white-haired old man and the beauty in white couldn't get out of the two spatial domains, and they couldn't even touch Zhao Feng's figure. The stacking of the two domains caused the three to be in a world of ice and snow. The Sky Star demonic lord was lying next to a wall of ice and was trying his best to dissolve the power of ice. His face was filled with fear. Even if he could resist the mystic ice domain, he wouldn't be able to escape from the illusion maze domain in a short amount of time. Shua! Shua! The white-haired old man and the beauty in white disappeared from the Sky Star demonic lord's sight after surrendering. Damn it! The Sky Star demonic lord gritted his teeth. These two kings of the righteous path had surrendered so easily. Only the Sky Star demonic lord was left in the middle of the two spatial domains, and he was unwilling to give up. He had several important treasures in his hands, so how could he be willing to give up just like that? Meow meow. The white-haired old man and the beauty in white were plundered by the little thieving cat. These two Void God Realm kings were the true leaders of two-star sects, and they had a lot of wealth. Also, all the Origin Core Realm experts, hand over your spoils of war. The child demigod crossed his arms and looked down at the battlefield. There were still many Origin Core realms that hadn't been plundered. The white-haired old man and the beauty in white had helpless expressions. The battlefield of a two-star sect was being plundered by a four-man pirate ship. Right at this moment, the demonic star sect master, who was trapped in the middle of two spatial domains, suddenly screamed and fell from the sky. So, Zhao Feng circulated his intent and used a mental energy spike. The overwhelming advantage in the soul dimension almost made the demonic star sect master faint. Zhao Feng clapped his hands and told the little thieving cat and the child demigod to clean up the mess. My soul has been heavily injured. Even if my Yuan's soul manages to escape, I'll still be dead. The demonic star sect master had a helpless expression. He, the sect master of a 2.5-star demonic sect, had fallen to such a state. I admit defeat. The demonic star sect master raised his hands and used his divine sense to tell the experts of the demonic sect to surrender. Now that the kings of both sides have been captured, the battle below quickly died down. Next, the vast two-star battlefield was plundered like never before. 3 2-star sects and many 1-star sects were plundered by a single pirate ship. If this was spread, it would be shocking. It took an entire half a day for Zhao Feng's group of 4 to finish plundering the experts of the 2-star battleground. Meow meow. The little thieving cat had a satisfied expression as it started to clear out the mountain of spoils of war. Zhao Feng's ancient metal ring started to fill up once more. The child demigod's eyes were filled with excitement and heat. On the other hand, the upper echelon of the 3 2-star sects and the 1-star sects all seemed to have been raped. Her face was empty, bitter, and powerless, like a young wife who had just lost her temper. All right, thank you all for your hospitality. We won't be staying here any longer. After organizing the spoils of war, Zhao Feng's group of 4 entered the ghost ship. Whoosh! The experts watched as the ghost ship flew through the air. The experts on the 2-star battlefield heaved a sigh of relief after the ghost ship disappeared from their sight. However, the experts were enraged and cursed at the same time. Some of them even burst into tears. Arg, my sky, cloud mother stone. My 10,000-year wood ginseng and several hundred years of savings. On the 2-star battlefield, many high-end experts went berserk on the spot, going crazy. However, no one dared to chase after the ghost ship. The 100-year war between clans in the Red Dragon Island zone came to an end. The essence of a war between clans was to redistribute resources. But now, the experts on the battlefield were all broke. How could they still have the mood to fight? Of course, this was good news for the middle and low-level cultivators, and even the common people at the bottom of the hierarchy. After several thousand years, there hadn't been another large-scale war between clans in the Red Dragon Island zone. The 1-star and 2-star sects all started to rest. After this battle, most of the resources in the Red Dragon Island zone had been taken. One had to know that 90% of the resources were in the hands of a small number of experts. Ha ha ha! The laughter of Zhao Feng and company could be heard as the ghost ship entered the dimension. Within the ship, Zhao Feng's group of 4 started to split the spoils. Being the captain of the pirates, Zhao Feng obviously had the right to split the spoils. The little thieving cat and little Kuan Yun each took 20% of the spoils. The skeletal division leader took 10%. Even if it was just 10% of the resources, it was still a huge amount, enough to buy a few 1-star sections. As the captain, Zhao Feng took half of the spoils. Zhe, looting a 2-star battlefield is so big. No wonder pirates are everywhere in the limitless ocean. Our plundering has even brought peace to this region, bringing endless blessings and blessings. The group of 4 started to discuss shamelessly. They didn't know that normal pirate forces wouldn't dare to offend 2-star sects unless they were the pirate kings of the pirate sacred land. Little Kuan Yin even suggested to do a few more. Don't be too high profile. There's always someone stronger. Back then, the pirate emperor had unparalleled battle power and was extremely high profile, but he was killed by a mystic light realm sacred lord. The wind lightning emperor's speed was unparalleled, but he was still killed by sacred lord purple knight. Zhao Feng shook his head. He wasn't blinded by the short-term benefits. He wasn't arrogant enough to think that he was stronger than the pirate emperor and the wind lightning emperor at their peak. Within the limitless ocean, the ghost ship flew at high speed and got closer and closer to its destination. There's only 2 or 3 more months before we reach the sky sacred Qin Palace. Chapter 731. There's still 2 to 3 months before we reach the heavenly Saint Zither Palace, Zhao Feng murmured. Seeing that his destination was getting closer and closer, his heart was filled with apprehension, worry, and eagerness. In his mind, the elegant and beautiful figure, who was like a fairy in a painting, was dressed in a snow-white veil and had an ethereal and tranquil pretty face. Amidst a mixture of resentment and joy, she looked back and smiled at him. 7 years. He took a deep breath and felt a rare sense of nervousness. Looking back 7 years ago, the 17-year-old youth had become famous in the sacred True Dragon gathering. Unknowingly, so much time had passed. 7 years was enough for many things to happen. Putting aside Lu Qinxin's slim chance of survival, even if she was still alive, there would be too many variables in 7 years. If she was still alive, would Lu Qinxin remember her promise? She's in a foreign land, like a rootless duckweed. Could it be that she's already married? 7 years. If Lu Qinxin didn't die and didn't return, her fate would change unpredictably. Whoosh! Zhao Feng heaved a sigh of relief and calmed himself down. Whether he lived or died, he wanted a definite answer. This wasn't just his personal wish, but also the wish of his father, the flooding Lake City Lord. Void Misty. The ghost ship maintained its high speed as it traveled through the void. In the void sea, the yuan qi was thin, the pressure of the world was low, and the air resistance was extremely low. Flying speed was 10 times faster than in the void sea. Even so, it would take at least 2 to 3 months for the ghost ship to reach the island zone where the sky sacred Qin Palace was. Inside the ship, Zhao Feng's group of 4 was counting the spoils of war that they had obtained not long ago. Zhao Feng alone took 40% of the spoils from the 2-star battlefield. Among them, the Heavenly Star Demon Lord had quite a bit of wealth on him. He had 7 or 8 peak-grade, Earth-ranked divine weapons, as well as some rare inheritance treasures. 7-star Soul Condensing Grass, 1,000-year Earth King Ginseng, Cloud Abyss True Fruit. Zhao Feng discovered that several of the precious resources were beneficial to his cultivation and could help consolidate it. The 7-star Soul Condensing Grass could strengthen and condense the soul, as well as promote the transformation of the soul. The Soul Grass was a treasure that could heal the soul. No wonder the 7-star Demon King was so unwilling. Duan Ling Tian thought to himself. Zhao Feng's lips curled up into a smile. The Sky Star Demonic Lord was the oldest king of the Red Dragon Island Zone, the strongest demonic cultivator. It wasn't hard for Zhao Feng to analyze. These three peak treasures were the foundation for a seven-star demonic lord to break through to the peak of the Void God Realm. The other two top treasures, the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit, could greatly increase one's true essence and cultivation. The Virtual God Realm was mainly a transformation of the soul level. However, the crystal core in the body would also develop a true vitality space under the grand Might Intent realm. Furthermore, ordinary space domains use the true Yuan space as their source of power. Since Zhao Feng had just reached Void God Realm, the quintessential essence in his crystal core was surging. But this was just the beginning. When one's cultivation reached the peak of the King Realm, the true Yuan space within the crystal core would become a vast true Yuan sea. In reality, the Sky Star Demonic Lord also had a Blood Demon King Pearl, which could strengthen one's body and blood. It was very beneficial for those who cultivated the demonic Tao. However, the child demigod had begged him to take it. Zhao Feng didn't cultivate the demonic Tao, so he didn't make things difficult for him. 3 months later, Zhao Feng's group of 4 began to wantonly consume the precious resources they had plundered to increase their strength. However, there were only a few treasures that were useful to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng used the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng, the 7-star Soul Condensing Grass, and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit. These were all treasures that the Sky Star Demonic Lord needed to create a foundation for him to break through to the Void God Realm in the future. However, Zhao Feng only used 1.5 months to use all 3 of them. On average, he used one every half a month. The 7-star Soul Condensing Grass allowed Zhao Feng's soul to become slightly stronger. Even if it was just a bit, it wasn't easy for Zhao Feng. After all, his soul was constantly being strengthened by the God Tribulation Lightning, the 10,000 Divine Thoughts Technique, and the Ancient Dream Realm. The strength of Zhao Feng's soul wasn't much different from an emperor's. Now that he had used the 7-star Soul Condensing Grass, his soul had become even stronger. It was on the same level as an emperor. The 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit had greatly expanded Zhao Feng's true Yuan dimension. If it wasn't for the fact that Zhao Feng had only just reached the Void God Realm, these 2 treasures would have allowed him to break through to the middle stages of the Void God Realm in just a couple months. However, because Zhao Feng didn't have enough foundation, he couldn't use these 2 treasures to break through to the middle stages of the Void God Realm. However, even then, after using the 10,000-year Earth King Ginseng and the Cloud Abyss True Fruit, Zhao Feng's cultivation wasn't any weaker than some early-stage Void God Realm experts. He wasn't far from the middle stages of the Void God Realm. I still have some spiritual fruits from the Ancient Dream Realm. I should be able to break through to the middle stages of the Void God Realm within half a year. Zhao Feng wasn't worried. His focus was still to absorb the deity Tribulation Lightning's power and comprehend its profundities to raise the level of his cultivation technique inheritance. Techniques could increase Zhao Feng's battle power in a short amount of time. Absorbing the power of the God Tribulation Lightning in his Purple Soul Sea was still a daily task. Right now, Zhao Feng had absorbed 100 wisps of God Tribulation Lightning in his Soul Sea. Even if it was just a tiny wisp, it couldn't be underestimated after gathering 100 wisps. Zhao Feng's Soul-type Eye Bloodline techniques contained the power of the God Tribulation Lightning. Even the core of the Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning contained a wisp of the power of the God Tribulation Lightning. Since the power of the God Tribulation Lightning was imprinted in his soul, it was 100 times easier to comprehend it. Zhao Feng's Scarlet Destruction Wind Lightning started to shine with a scarlet gold light. His Wind Lightning inheritance wasn't just a pure golden wind lightning anymore. The Scarlet Gold Wind Lightning should be the next level of Zhao Feng's Wind Lightning inheritance. It might even be the highest level. Back then, the Wind Lightning Emperor's Wind Lightning inheritance could reach the golden and dark golden wind lightning. The dark golden wind lightning was the pinnacle of the golden wind lightning. Zhao Feng's scarlet destruction wind lightning started to surpass the wind lightning inheritance. This was because Zhao Feng was able to stabilize the scarlet destruction wind lightning after merging with the aura of the ancient dream realm. He could even grasp some of the origin intents. That was why Zhao Feng raised the scarlet destruction wind lightning to a higher level and pursued the strongest explosiveness. Once I complete the evolution of the scarlet gold wind lightning, its power will surpass the Wind Lightning Emperor's golden wind lightning. Zhao Feng confirmed his direction. The difference between him and the Wind Lightning Emperor was cultivation and foundation. If Zhao Feng had the same cultivation as the Wind Lightning Emperor, he wouldn't have to be afraid of the Emperor of Death. Within the ghost ship, after obtaining a large amount of resources, the child demigod, the little thieving cat, and the skeletal division leader were all improving. Only a small portion of the resources from the two-star battlefield were useful to Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The rest of the resources were given to the skeletal division leader to strengthen the ghost corpse cursed array. The strength of the cursed corpses were all reaching the great origin core realm. Zhao Feng would occasionally enter the ancient dream realm to kill large beasts and use their flesh to feed the cursed corpses. The cursed corpses all had the 10,000 withering ghost bone bloodline, and they had absorbed the flesh from the ancient dream realm. Zhao Feng analyzed that the limit of these ghost corpses was at least a half-step king. If they could devour enough King Yuan souls, there was a small chance that they could break through to the king realm. Back in the Heaven's Legacy ancient city, Zhao Feng and the cursed corpses both contained the ancient dream realm bloodline, which greatly reduced the cost of strengthening their bloodlines. He suspected that this was related to the ancient dream realm. Time flew by. The ghost corpses' ship traveled through the void mist sea, passing by many inner islands. The sky's sacred Qin Palace was getting closer and closer. One more month. On a certain day, Zhao Feng suddenly opened his eyes. The skeletal division leader's cultivation had reached the peak Great Origin Core realm, and it wasn't far from the half-step king realm. The change in its aura caught the attention of Zhao Feng and the child demigod. The two didn't put it to heart and continued to cultivate. Zhao Feng used all kinds of methods to increase his strength. The child demigod was the same, recovering his strength as much as possible and comprehending the secret techniques from his previous life. There was only 1 month left. Zhao Feng's focus was on forming the Wind Lightning spatial domain and comprehending the Lightning Wings spatial flash. Zhao Feng slowly grasped the basics of the Lightning Wings spatial flash, and his flying speed increased dramatically. As for the Wind Lightning domain, Zhao Feng already had an outline of it in the 18 Corners Pirate Sacred Land. However, the reality was that Zhao Feng's Mystic Ice domain was completed first. The Mystic Ice domain was a domain that came with the bloodline of the Mystic Ice scaled race, and it could be formed as long as one comprehended the bloodline inheritance. Zhao Feng felt that the Mystic Ice domain was more effective, so he formed it first. In the past, there was some resistance when he was forming the Wind Lightning domain. Now, Zhao Feng had broken through to the Void God realm, and he had opened up a dimension of true Yuan in his crystal core. There was no resistance when he formed the Wind Lightning domain. It wasn't smooth when I formed the Wind Lightning domain before, because my cultivation wasn't at the Void God realm, so I didn't have a dimension of true Yuan. Zhao Feng understood. Next, Xiao Chen took a step forward in forming the Wind Lightning domain's outline. There was no difficulty at all. Half a month later, Zhao Feng's Wind Lightning domain was finally formed. The Wind Lightning domain used the Wind Lightning inheritance as the core and the true Yuan dimension as the source. If Zhao Feng decided to cultivate another technique in the future, the Wind Lightning inheritance would disappear. One whoosh. The space around the ghost corpse ship was surrounded by thousands of lightning bolts and storms, forming a space domain that was hundreds of kilometers in circumference. Astonishing lightning storms were being nurtured within it. Zhao Feng used this spatial domain as an offensive domain. As long as he punched out, the wind-lightning domain would condense to a point, and its power would more than double. Wind-lightning domain. This Zhao Feng has already formed a third spatial domain. Waves appeared in the child demigod's heart. That's right. At this point, Zhao Feng had already completed 3 domains. Tao of the Soul, Illusion Maze Domain, Bloodline Mystic Ice Domain, Cultivation Technique, Wind Lightning Domain. It was unimaginable for an early-stage Void God Realm King to have 3 spatial domains. Of course, out of these 3 spatial domains, the first 2 were basically innate abilities. Only the Wind Lightning domain was formed after Zhao Feng spent a lot of effort. I wonder what kind of power the 3 spatial domains will have. Zhao Feng couldn't help but feel excited and expectant. Half a month later, the ghost ship finally arrived at the Gon's Sacred Island zone. According to the map, the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace was within this zone. Chapter 732. Master, we've entered the Gon's Sacred Island zone. We'll reach the Sky Sacred Qin Palace soon. The skeletal division leader reported from the ghost ship. It was slightly puzzled. What was Zhao Feng's goal in coming to the Sky Sacred Qin Palace? Zhao Feng had always kept this a secret. Zhao Feng waved his hand, and an ice-blue screen appeared in front of him, displaying the map of this island zone. The Gon's Sacred Island zone was extremely big, and there were many islands. It was twice the size of the Tianlu Island zone and the Azure Island zone. There were many forces here, and there were many inheritances of the Tao of entertainment. According to the information from 10,000 years ago, there are 5 or 6 2-star sects here. The Heavenly Sacred Qin Palace is a peak 2-star Tao of entertainment sect. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he thought. A peak 2-star sect that cultivated the Tao of entertainment was indeed unusual. It could be said that this was the origin of the Tao of entertainment in the Tsang Ocean. The Sky's Sacred Qin Palace was the number 1 sect in the Tao of entertainment 10,000 years ago. According to the information on the map, the Sky's Sacred Qin Palace was located in the center of the Sky Sacred Qin Zone. It was the most prosperous island zone in the island zone. Of course, all the information that Zhao Feng knew was given to him by the Purple Knight Sacred Lord from 10,000 years ago. He couldn't be sure if the Sky Sacred Qin Palace was still in the Sky Sacred Qin Zone or not. Several days later, an island filled with Yuan Qi appeared in front of him. It was surrounded by a layer of blue, red, and purple light. Looking from the outside, the island was like a zither, and one could faintly see the mountains and rivers within. The aura of this island gave Zhao Feng was extremely peaceful. It was as if there were birds singing, flowers fragrant, music, books, and books. It wasn't like other islands that were filled with killing and chaotic auras, such as the Azure Flower Continent. That's right, it should be here. Zhao Feng nodded his head faintly. This aura should come from the origin of the Tao of entertainment. It was different from normal sections. So, the ghost ship left behind a dark arc of lightning as it charged into the inner space. In the process of entering the outer realm, the surface of the ship lit up with brilliant sparks. There was an invisible force field on the surface of any island region. It was almost impossible for those at the bottom of the island to break through to the outside world. The minimum requirement was the True Lord rank. Therefore, those who could travel the outer domain Void Sea were all peak experts of the various zones. Most of them were at the True Spirit realm or above, with the Primal Core realm being more common. After entering the domain space, the speed of the ghost ship decreased sharply. The pressure of heaven and earth, air resistance, and other factors were different from the outer realms. The territory of the Sky Zither region was 2 to 3 times that of the Azure Flower region. Zhao Feng did not have a map of the island region, and he still needed to inquire about the location of the Heavenly Sacred Qin Palace. Furthermore, most humans didn't know the location of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace. For example, when Zhao Feng was in the Zhao clan, he had no idea about the world of sections. Even after joining the Broken Moon clan, he still didn't know where the 10 great clans were. This was the limitation brought about by one's level. It's best to find a cultivator above the true spirit realm and ask him. Zhao Feng made up his mind. He spread his divine sense and headed in the direction of the auras of experts. Neither Zhao Feng nor the ghost ship had the same speed as they did in the limitless ocean. Half a day later, after passing through several rivers and forests, the disturbance of Yuan Qi ahead became stronger. Zhao Feng's divine sense landed on an island in the middle of a lake. There were many human auras on the island, and many of them had reached the true spirit realm or even the origin core realm. Furthermore, Zhao Feng also saw many cultivators that cultivated the Tao of entertainment. He had found the right place. Zhao Feng revealed a joyful expression as he flew in that direction. The ghost ship was somewhat eye-catching. Zhao Feng told the skeletal division leader to return to the 10,000 Ghost Pearl and put away the ship. Whoosh! Zhao Feng turned into a streak of lightning as he approached the island in the center of the lake. The aura of a void god realm king was too strong, so Zhao Feng suppressed his cultivation to the origin core realm. However, even then, those at the primal core realm were considered peak experts in the region, known as sovereigns. At this moment in time, on the island at the center of the lake, a grand event was being held. Most of the geniuses were at least at the true spirit realm. It's indeed worthy of being the Tao of entertainment meeting that happens once every 10 years. All the geniuses of the younger generation have gathered here. Although we don't have the right to participate, it's a rare chance to watch. Whispers could be heard from the crowd at the periphery. At the center of the meeting was a large circular plaza. In the four corners of the plaza, there were many seats stacked on top of each other. The highest was 18 floors. At the center of the plaza were two large platforms that looked like chessboards. The two platforms were each 10 miles long, and they faced each other several miles apart. At this moment in time, on the two platforms, there was a black-robed young man and a beautiful young girl. The girl in black played the flute, creating waves that crashed against the shore like an eagle spreading its wings. The sound waves of the music, Tao, created a tornado that charged towards the girl in front of her. The young girl sat quietly. She stretched out her hand elegantly and played her pipa. Circles of gentle rainbow ripples formed a formless force field that blocked the young man's music path attack. Tao of entertainment meeting. Zhao Feng floated in the clouds and watched the Tao of entertainment meeting below. The geniuses participating were all at the true mystic rank or above, and there were some at the true lord rank. A small number had even reached the origin core realm. From the looks of it, these geniuses came from 1-star and 2-star sections. The two of them fought for a while. In the end, the black-clothed youth couldn't keep up and was hit by the sound of a powerful army. Colorful arcs of light shook the black-clothed girl until she vomited blood. Great! As expected of a core disciple of the Six Qin Palace. After the victor was decided, there was a burst of praise and criticism coming from the seats on the surrounding steps. However, many gazes looked at the three geniuses of the Tao of entertainment who had reached the primal core realm. The three geniuses, one male and two females, each sat in an elegant pavilion. Mystic Sound Palace, Six Qin Palace, Sky's Sacred Qin Palace. The three head disciples. The male and two females in the three pavilions became the focus of everyone's gazes. The male was handsome and gentle, and the two females had elegant auras, as if they were classical beauties. Especially, in the middle pavilion was a girl sitting in front of Qin. Just looking at her from the side was enough to steal one's soul. The woman was dressed in a snow-white dress, and her fine black hair fell to the ground. Her temperament was elegant and otherworldly. Her skin was like ice, and her bones were like jade, and her eyebrows were like a painting. She was quiet like a fairy, and she had the classical charm of a painting. Amongst the geniuses of the Tao of entertainment, this girl had an unparalleled aura in terms of looks and cultivation. The males couldn't hide the admiration in their eyes. Qin, Zhao Feng, who was in the clouds, couldn't help but exclaim when he saw the figure of this girl. The snow-white girl was like a classical beauty from a painting. She sat in front of Qin, and her calm aura of the Tao of entertainment overlapped with the figure in his memory. Yor was lucky to win just then. I hope Goddess Snow Chin can teach me a thing or two. The graceful woman who had just won smiled sweetly. Although her words were polite, there was a hint of coldness in her clear eyes. Zhao Feng could see that the reason why this elegant girl won just now was because she was stronger than the flute player in terms of strategy and strength. Furthermore, this girl's cultivation had reached the peak true lord rank. Lin Yu your sixth zither 9 sounds has excellent temperament and has already entered the path of the zither. However, in terms of the use of the hollow sound, it is slightly lacking. The voice of the quiet woman called Fairy Snow Zither was gentle and pleasant. Just the sound alone seemed to outline the picturesque scenery of a clear spring and a small bridge. Even her voice has merged with the Tao of entertainment and can communicate with heaven and earth. The expression of the elegant woman, who had been trying to provoke him earlier, changed. She looked into Goddess Snow Chin's eyes. They were as clear as the moon and seemed to have a power that could see through one's heart. She could not help but feel a sense of inferiority. Being the second-ranked core disciple of the Six Qin Palace, she originally wanted to fight Li Shui to test her strength. However, Goddess Snow Chin's mastery of the Tao of entertainment was perfect. Not only did she see through her flaws, she even made her fall into the Tao of entertainment. Li Shui's mastery of the Tao of entertainment has reached such a level. Her every action radiates the Tao of entertainment. The hearts of the other two peerless geniuses in the pavilion shook. This Li Shui is said to be the #1 genius of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace in the past several thousand years. Her appearance has brought some light to the declining Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and she's become the hope of the clan. Discussion sounded below. Li Shui's few comments brought a huge wave to this Music Path conference. Before this, Li Shui's talent was only limited to legends. The other two peerless geniuses were silent for a long time. Li Shui? She's not Qin Xin. In the clouds, Zhao Feng watched the battles in the Tao of Entertainment meeting. The format of the Tao of Entertainment conference was similar to the Geniuses Summit or the Tea Party. This was a gathering for the geniuses of the Tao of Entertainment to exchange pointers. The girl called Li Shui was the head disciple of the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and her cultivation in the Qin surpassed everyone else. As time passed, the sparring sessions and comments were carried out in an orderly manner. Li Shui also appeared on stage once or twice. She was as graceful as a fairy. Her white hands gently stroked the zither, and supreme music resonated with the power of heaven and earth. Even the handsome man of the 3 entertainment Tao geniuses couldn't last more than 10 breaths in front of Li Shui. Strong. A measly late-stage, small origin core realm can release battle power comparable to a sovereign lord by playing the Qin. Zhao Feng couldn't help but exclaim. The reason why he stopped was because Li Shui had an aura similar to Lu Qinxin's. Even her beautiful figure looked similar to that of the other one. She comes from the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, and her aura is similar to Qinxin's. However, I don't see Qinxin. Zhao Feng's eyebrows furrowed. His divine sense had scanned across the area and didn't find Lu Qinxin. This made Zhao Feng's heart go cold. 7 years later, if Lu Qinxin was at the Sky Sacred Qin Palace, she definitely had the right to participate in the Tao of Entertainment Conference with her talent and could even be listed as one of the 3 geniuses. However, Zhao Feng's divine sense scanned across the area and didn't find Lu Qinxin's aura. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.